Quiet, please. Shh, keep it on. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the New York City Hybrid Hearing on the Committee on Contracts. Please silence all electronic devices at this time. Also, please do not approach the dais. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. One of us is Sergeant at Arms will kindly assist you. Thank you very much for your kind cooperation. Chair, we're ready to begin.
All right. Good morning still. Thank you guys for joining us. My name is Lincoln Ressler. I have the great privilege of chairing the City Council's Contracts Committee. I want to thank so many nonprofit leaders and civic leaders for joining us today. We're joined by the inimitable Gail Brewer, Manhattan's own, and a number of other colleagues I think will be joining us from across the street as this anti-hate hearing progresses. Today, we are holding an oversight hearing on nonprofit and human service contract payments. This is a topic that has been the subject of a great number of policy pronouncements, media reports, press conferences, and rallies. But I have to say, it feels like Groundhog's Day to me, because we're still waiting for this dysfunctional system to finally get fixed. We all know that the city of New York could not function for one single day without our phenomenal nonprofit providers. And yet we too often treat these essential partners terribly. The purpose of this hearing is to level set about where we are today when it comes to getting contracts registered on time and paying providers in real time for the work they do. As the new chair of the Contracts Committee, I am focused on and committed to partnering with the Mamdani administration, in particular Director Yu and Director Cedillo, and I really want to thank them for being here today, and nonprofit leaders across our city to fix our procurement system and our fiscal systems once and for all. On a personal level, I have spent my career shifting between government and the nonprofit sector. I've worked in city administrations trying to help fix this problem, like being involved in the Nonprofit Resiliency Committee back in 2016 and 2017. And I've worked for nonprofit partners that have suffered the consequences of failing to get paid. I proudly served on the board of the Human Services Council when I led the New York City Employment and Training Coalition, which represents the workforce development groups across the city of New York. I worked at a beloved North Brooklyn settlement house that supports neighbors from cradle to old age. I've served on the boards of a number of nonprofits, from community development corporations to civic associations, and have been deeply enmeshed in many, many more nonprofit organizations that I admire immensely. I've seen firsthand just how debilitating it is for a nonprofit to not be able to access the money it is owed to them by the city of New York and have to take out costly loans just to pay workers and to keep the lights on. Every year, the city procures $15.6 billion in goods and services from the human services sector. For context, that is bigger than the budgets of entire states like South Carolina or Rhode Island. These human service contracts are for essential services, from operating homeless shelters to providing legal counsel to tenants facing eviction, to serving meals to seniors, and so much more. New Yorkers rely on these services every single moment of every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Yet for far too long, the city has failed to reliably pay these organizations on time. And the city is not just a little late. Too many nonprofits get ghosted for months and months and months. An April 2025 report from Comptroller Brad Lander found that the average time it takes from a contract start date until the first payment is issued is 388 days. From the contract start date until the first invoice is processed is 388 days. Even with 25% advance payments upon budget approval, nonprofits are working for over a year and waiting for an additional dime of payment to be received. If a freelancer didn't get paid for a year, the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection would throw the book at that shady employer. As of last April, 2,500 contracts worth $4.6 billion had already passed their start dates without being registered. And even when a contract is registered, agencies don't pay the invoices. This report from Comptroller Lander back in April of last year found that there were over 4,000 unpaid invoices worth over $861 million at the time the report was issued. In 2024, the Health Department and the Homeless Services and DHS, our Homeless Services Agency, took an average of over 40 days to process invoice payments and had hundreds of invoices pending for over 100 days. We hope to receive updates on improved data today, but the figures in this 2025 report were alarming and frankly damning. When the city doesn't pay its bills for months and years on end, nonprofits have to find a way to pay their bills and their workers to continue to provide these essential services. In order to make payroll and keep operating, they take out costly loans. Many are forced to turn to private banks that charge hefty interest fees. Here's one example. Lisney, Legal Services of New York, is paying $80,000 per month on a line of credit for their $60 million contract with the city. That's almost $1 million per year. If the city paid on time, those funds could instead could fund 6 attorneys that help an additional 400 tenants in the Right to Counsel program. In 2023, Sheltering Arms, a 200-year-old family services organization, was forced to shut down entirely, in no small part due to severely late city payments. These delays impact large citywide organizations and small neighborhood CBOs. They impact multi-million-dollar contracts and $5,000 city council discretionary awards. I have heard from dozens of nonprofit organizations since becoming chair of the Contracts Committee just several weeks ago, and the overarching message, it's clear. More nonprofits will close, and services will suffer if the city doesn't solve this. I absolutely believe these Kafkaesque bureaucratic delays can be averted through strong leadership at City Hall, focused management at city agencies, crisp, transparent data, and meaningful accountability across the board. These delays are not about dollars and cents. These delays are not just about dollars and cents or paperwork. They're about essential services, and they're about hardworking professionals serving New Yorkers in need. The nonprofit sector in New York City employs over 600,000 people. That's more than the entire populations of Atlanta or Milwaukee or Baltimore. The nonprofit sector is a vital component of our local economy, and according to the Human Services Council, 70% of the workers are women, 75% are people of color. If the city didn't pay our sanitation workers or our teachers on time, they'd stop working. It would be a full-blown emergency that would get immediate attention. And notably, we do not see the same scale of delays on city payments to for-profit vendors or capital contracts. We need to treat our nonprofit partners with the respect they deserve. This problem isn't new, and unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be getting much better. The Comptroller's Office found that from 2019 to 2024, the time it took to pay nonprofits actually increased by 16%. The City Council passed legislation in 2023, Local Law 169, sponsored by my friend and colleague Althea Stevens, to establish binding timelines for the contracting process. But unfortunately, the end result was a proposal for up to a 510-day procurement process to get contracts registered with broad exemptions baked in. We need action now. We need a Clear the Backlog initiative focused not only on contract registration, but also on invoice payment. We need a public dashboard with real-time monitoring and tracking of data so that we can determine where contracts and invoices are getting held up and what agencies need more staffing and support to deliver. We should restart the Nonprofit Resiliency Committee to ensure the administration, nonprofits, and the council are prioritizing tangible, swift progress. And we should expand the Returnable Grant Fund so that all nonprofits can readily access loans, avert interest payments, and avoid insolvency. We need leadership at City Hall to hold agencies accountable when they fail to make payments on time. I am genuinely optimistic as we enter this new mayoral administration and a new city council term that we finally have the support and momentum needed to address these problems. I have been really impressed by Kim Yu and Michael Cedillo, and I appreciate that Max and Mons and their teams have been working hard to address these issues. I hope that senior staff at City Hall makes this a priority. There are a number of positive initiatives in the works, piloting a grant initiative for council discretionary funding, a new quarterly payment model for DHS and MOCJ contractors, expanding the returnable grant program, 50% advances on contracts taking effect later this year, standing up contract stat internally, and much more. I firmly believe the new rigor and competence across the street at City Hall will help us make major strides in cleaning up this mess. We are also hearing 2 bills and 1 resolution today. Introduction 441, sponsored by Councilmember Stevens, would establish a task force to examine the underutilization of community-based vendors in city contracting, since the late payment crisis often hits small, local organizations the hardest. Introduction 452, also sponsored by Councilmember Stevens, who has an amazing knack for timing, would establish a wage floor for human service workers whose wages have lagged behind comparable city positions for decades. City contracts provide far too little compensation to nonprofit staff. I've been a stalwart supporter of the Just Pay campaign for years, and we need to evaluate and explore every potential creative solution that will increase wages for nonprofit workers. Councilmember Stevens brings deep expertise about the nonprofit sector to this work. The human services sector could not hope for a more effective or frankly, a more tenacious champion than Althea. And Resolution 183, sponsored by Councilmember Farias, calls on the state to pass legislation to allow more flexibility on food contracts. Before we begin, I want to recognize the Contracts Committee staff, who I have just been incredibly impressed by for their hard work in preparing for today's hearing. Senior Counsel Alex Polinoff, Committee Counsel Jahari Frazier, who we have stolen from the GovOps Committee, although I guess he still hangs out with Gail there too. Policy Analyst Alex Yablon, Financial Analyst Owen Katowski, and I would especially like to thank my brilliant, and I really want to underscore the word brilliant, Chief of Staff Molly Haley. With that, I will turn it over to Councilmember Stevens if she'd like to make remarks about her bills. Does she need, you need time? She does have food in her, 2 seconds. I can fill time. I again really want to thank Kim and Michael for being here with us today. We're really excited about their testimony, and it's great to see so many nonprofit leaders from across the city joining us. And I want to thank Councilmember Wan, the former chair of this committee, who did a great job leading it, for joining us on Zoom. With that, I will pass it over to Councilmember Stevens. You know I can talk.
I know. Okay, good morning. How you guys doing? So great to see so many people in here. Happy to see you guys are still with us. Today, I'm proud to advance two critical pieces of legislation that speaks directly to equality, fairness, and accountability on how New York City does business. Intro 441 establishes a task force to examine the disparities in city contracting. For far too long, Black and brown and women-owned businesses have faced strategic barriers to access city contracts. This task force will allow us to take a harder look at the data, identify where inequalities are and persist, and develop concentrated recommendations to ensure our contracting process is transparent, inclusive, and fair. Intro 452 amends the administrative code to establish a wage requirement for city contracted human service workers. Those workers provide essential care and support to the most vulnerable New Yorkers, yet they are often underpaid and undervalued. This bill is about dignity, economic justice, and recognizing that equality services require stability, fairness, and a compensated workforce. Today, these bills move us closer to a city that truly values equality, both in who gets access to opportunity and how we treat the workers who keep our community strong. I look forward to working with my colleagues to advance and stakeholders to ensure that these measures deliver real impact for New Yorkers. And I'm very happy that Lincoln is chairing this committee now. We love Julie Wan, Councilmember Wan, but Lincoln has a tenacity and fight that I really think that will bring to this committee to really highlight the inequities that a lot of these contracts have, and especially to the human services sector. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That means a lot, Chair Stevens. So I just want to say again, goal for the hearing today is kind of level set where we are and how do we do better moving forward. I'm really excited to hear from leadership in the Mamdani administration. I guess we'll turn over to committee counsel, but I just want to thank Director Yu and Director Cedillo once again for joining us.
Thank you, Chair. Alex Polinoff, Senior Counsel. Will all members of the administration testifying today please raise your right hands? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony today, and to respond honestly to council member questions? Thank you. You may begin when ready.
Good morning. Chair Ressler, Councilmember Stevens, Councilmember Brewer.
Oh, yeah, it's on.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify today on nonprofit payment delays, an issue that has rightly remained a priority for this council, for providers, and for this administration. We also appreciate the committee's attention to the legislation on today's agenda, including the bills introduced by Councilmember Stevens. I'm joined today by Executive Director Michael Cedillo of Mayor's Office of Nonprofit Services. Nonprofit organizations deliver some of the city's most essential services: housing assistance, food access, childcare, public health, and crisis response. When payments are delayed, those organizations are forced to carry financial risk that the city itself is better positioned to absorb. That strain affects payroll, rent, staffing, stability, and ultimately the continuity of services New Yorkers rely on. Today, I will address 4 topics: the role and context of MOCs, our progress towards system stabilization, emerging challenges on the horizon, and the legislation currently under consideration. Let me state clearly at the outset, payment delays are unacceptable, and MOCs takes responsibility for improving the systems and processes within our control that contribute to those delays. At the same time, it is critical to be candid about how payments actually move and stall across the city's contracting ecosystem, because durable solutions required shared understanding and coordinated action. MOX plays a unique role in the city's contracting and payment process. While our agency operates with a relatively small budget, our responsibilities cut across the full life cycle of city contracts, from implementing procurement rules to overseeing the contracting process to operating the systems that support invoicing and payment. Unlike individual contracting agencies, MOX does not deliver programs or issue payments directly. Instead, we function as the central coordinator and standards setter for how contracts move through the system, and as the operator of the city's end-to-end digital procurement platform, Passport. That role places MOX at the intersection of policy, process, and technology, and requires close coordination with agencies, the law department, the Office of Management and Budget, and the Mayor's Office of Nonprofit Services, and the Comptroller. In practice, this means MOX is responsible both for setting guardrails to ensure procurement is fair, competitive, and inclusive, and for removing friction where rules, workflows, or systems slow the movement of contracts and payments. Our work is therefore not limited to oversight in the traditional sense. It also includes active facilitation, problem solving, and system improvement. The scale of this responsibility is significant. In fiscal year 2025, New York City awarded more than $42 billion in contracts for goods, services, and construction. Human services contracts accounted for over $16 billion of that total, approximately 37% of all city contracting. Nonprofit providers are not a marginal part of the procurement system. They are central to it. Given that scale, even small efficiencies in contracting processing or payment workflows can have outsized impacts on nonprofit providers. Understanding MOX's role in this ecosystem is essential to understanding both the progress that has been made and the constraints that remain. Timely payment has long been a priority for MOX. Historically, the office has pursued that objective through modernization efforts, digitizing procurement, strengthening transparency, and implementing major system transitions. That work was essential to addressing long-standing structural limitations and creating a more centralized procurement framework. As that modernization work has matured, MOX's focus has increasingly shifted toward stabilizing performance across the contract to payment lifecycle, with particular attention to how system design, agency practices, and review processes affect when nonprofit providers are actually paid. Now let's talk about the progress towards stabilization. We remain in a phase of stabilization today, but it is a targeted stabilization, reducing variability across agencies, addressing reoccurring bottlenecks, and shortening the time between service delivery and when payment delays happen. Our goal is to ensure those systems and processes function reliably and predictably for providers. Within that context, we have made measurable progress that I'm excited to highlight. First, the City Council discretionary grant pilot that was launched in fiscal year 2026 offers a promising approach for faster payments for small discretionary awards. Under the first year of the pilot, over 100 discretionary awards went through a streamlined grant process that allowed the first award to receive full payment within a month, compared to timelines that previously exceeded 1 year. For smaller nonprofits, this reduces prolonged periods of uncompensated service delivery and lowers reliance on credit or emergency financing to sustain city-funded programs. We look forward to working with City Council, MONS, and our agency partners to continue this pilot program to benefit even more providers. Second, in fiscal year 2026, on-time contract registration of human services contracts reached 88%, the highest level in 5 years. This improvement has materially reduced the number of retroactive contracts, one of the primary drivers of delayed payment. For providers, earlier registration means contracts are in place closer to the start of the fiscal year. This allows agencies to make advance payments to nonprofits and for nonprofits invoicing to begin sooner, reducing the need to operate programs for extended periods without an active contract or eligible reimbursement. Third, MOX now has a citywide payment task force team that provides direct case-level intervention. Rather than requiring providers to navigate multiple agencies and systems of their own, the Payment Task Force works agency by agency to identify and resolve specific registration, budget, and invoice issues. This hands-on approach is intended to shorten resolution time and reduce the burden on providers to repeatedly escalate issues across different points of contact. Fourth, the Returnable Grant Fund has been expanded and more actively promoted as a bridge financing tool. RGF, the Returnable Grant Fund, provides interest-free loans to nonprofits facing payment delays, helping stabilize cash flow while underlying issues are resolved. Expanded outreach and use through New York City Public School and partner entities has made this resource more accessible, particularly for organizations with limited reserves. Fifth, MOX issued a partial payment directive that allows funds to be released while outstanding issues are resolved. In situations where invoices are otherwise approvable but delayed due to discrete outstanding items, agencies have been directed to issue partial payments rather than holding payments in full. For providers, this reduces the financial impact of administrative delays by allowing at least a portion of the funds to flow while remaining issues are addressed. 6. We have launched passport enhancements to support earlier budget and pre-processing actions. System improvements now allow certain fiscal administrative steps to occur earlier in the process, reducing downstream delays once contracts are registered and invoices are submitted. This helps prevent avoidable backlogs later in the payment cycle. Additional enhancements to further improve budgeting and invoicing are coming soon, and we look forward to sharing more details. 7th, in partnership with OMB, MOX issued a indirect cost rate policy reminder directive to reinforce existing tools that support nonprofit financial stability. In addition to the joint ICR policy directive, MOX will also be offering agency staff a training on ICR policies and procedures this Thursday, tomorrow, to ensure that agencies apply them consistently. While not a payment mechanism itself, clearer ICR implementation helps provide better recover true operating costs, improves overall financial sustainability. 8th, the city has increased advance payments to provide more upfront cash flow to nonprofit providers, which requires a renewed focus on responsible fiscal management. Through City Council legislation, advance payments for most nonprofit human services contracts have increased from 25% to 50% of the base contract value, delivering more upfront funding than ever before to support provider stability. MOX is working closely with agencies to monitor recoupment on FY26 advances so that nonprofits are able to benefit from 50% advances again in fiscal year 27, as codified by Local Law 156 of 2025. We've also kicked off an internal working group with impacted agencies to develop quarterly advanced pilot policies in accordance with the more recently enacted Local Law 11 of 2026. Both local laws represent large changes to the city's advance policies, and we're committed to working with agencies and nonprofits to ensure that these changes result in steadier cash flow for nonprofits without impacting the city's ability to monitoring how taxpayer dollars are spent. Taken together, these efforts reflect greater stability and coordination than in prior years, and providers are experiencing earlier registration, faster access to cash, and more direct support when issues arise. At the same time, these improvements have not eliminated delays, and it is important to be candid about that reality. Continued progress depends on sustaining this stabilization work while addressing the remaining structural and operational challenges that affect payment timeliness. We've covered MOX context and stabilization. The last two topics are the anticipation of future issues. To understand why delays still occur, even as progress is being made, it is important to describe how nonprofit payments actually move through the city system. A nonprofit is paid only after several interdependent steps occur. These include contract negotiation and registration, fiscal and legal review, alignment with available funding, invoice submission and approval, and payment release through the city's financial systems. A delay at any one of these points can prevent payment, even when all the other steps are complete. Payment delays persist not because of a single failure point, but because the system involves multiple agencies and oversight entities with distinct roles and statutory responsibilities. Significant variation in contract complexity, funding sources, and program requirements, differences in staffing capacity and operational practices across agencies, external pressures, including emergency procurements and increased contract volume. Given these dynamics, progress depends on both system reliability and consistent execution across full life cycle. That is why MOX's current approach focuses on end-to-end performance, setting clear submission standards, intervening when items stall, and increasing transparency about where delays occur and what it will take to resolve them. In addition to implemented strategies, MOX continues to advance work in several areas: developing citywide standard invoice guidance to reduce inconsistencies, advancing audit reform to better align oversight with timely payment, strengthening nonprofit engagement and change management support. We are continuing to enhance transparency and operational support through improved guidance, targeted training, and better use of performance data to focus resources on the points in the process where delays most frequently occur. In closing, nonprofit payment delays are not the result of inattention or indifference. They persist because the city's contracting and payment systems are complex, interdependent, and historically under-designed for the scale of services nonprofits now deliver. MOX accepts responsibility for improving what is within our control and for being transparent about what requires shared action. Our objective is not to defend the system, but to make it work better for the providers who keep the city services running and for the New Yorkers they serve. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm now going to turn it over to Executive Director Michael Cedillo.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Speaker Minnan, Deputy Speaker Williams, Chair Ressler, members of the Committee on Contracts, and all other council members who have joined us today. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Michael Cedillo, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Nonprofit Services, also known as MONS. I also want to acknowledge the Chief Nonprofit Officers who have joined us today. They work tirelessly within their agencies to make our systems more responsive to nonprofit providers, and I can't thank them enough for their support. Our mission at MONS is simple yet critical. We serve as a bridge between city agencies and nonprofits to help them focus on one goal: delivering vital services to New Yorkers. We work closely with thousands of public servants across health and human service agencies who navigate a complex contracting system to ensure providers are paid and services reach those who need them most. And while our office serves both nonprofits and public servants, we always remember that our ultimate customers are New Yorkers. Every policy, every reform, and every investment must first consider what's best for those who rely on these essential services. Since we last spoke in October, our office has worked in lockstep with our partner agencies to stay focused on resolving payment delays, reducing the contract backlog, improving service delivery, and cutting red tape of processes that make it harder for nonprofits to contract with the city. We're aligned with the City Council and the sector in recognizing these systemic challenges, and we're committed to finding solutions together. While we still have a lot of work to do, we're proud of what we have been able to accomplish in partnership with our city agencies for the nonprofit sector. Mayor Mamdani recently issued Executive Order 2, which reestablished our office and chief nonprofit officers in human service agencies across the city. With a customer service mindset, 18 appointed leaders engaged directly with providers to strengthen responsiveness, streamline communication, and resolve problems in real time. With the help of our chief nonprofit officers, we have resolved 260 inquiries from providers and elected officials since last January. Their efforts, along with their colleagues, have been instrumental in reducing the backlog of unregistered and retroactive contracts from $11.8 billion to $2.3 billion, accelerating payments and restoring financial stability for providers. Last year, city agencies made an unprecedented level of advance payments at the start of fiscal year 2026. For many contracts, we doubled the standard 25% advance payments. In fact, the average advance payment in fiscal year 2026 were $200,000 higher than the previous fiscal year. While this does not solve the systemic challenges of payment delays, it was an important step to provide meaningful relief for nonprofits. City Council also played a critical role by passing Intro 1247, which codified 50% advances, and Intro 1392, which will give the city the opportunity to pilot predictable quarterly payments for nonprofit providers, similar to the New York State Office of Mental Health contracts, how they contract. Thanks to the success of MOX's timely registration initiative and the tireless work of dedicated public servants at contracting agencies, 88% of human service contracts for FY 2026 were submitted to the comptroller on time, the highest rate in 5 years. This action significantly reduced the contract backlog. We also recognize the need to reform the discretionary contracting process, which is often the most delayed. Currently, 70% of the city's backlog of human service contracts are discretionary contracts. This means they are inherently retroactive because agencies cannot begin registration until after the fiscal year starts and nonprofits are expected to provide services. That's why last fall, we partnered with City Council and MOX to launch the Discretionary Grant Pilot, a new process designed to make contracting easier for providers. Under this pilot, nonprofits with small discretionary contracts below $25,000 at select agencies are processed as grants, cutting out 13 steps from the traditional contracting process. Within months of receiving a grant agreement, up to 100 providers received 100% of their funding. We're further expanding this initiative to reach even more providers, and this reform is a powerful example of what is possible when we work together. You asked for more visibility in the contracting process, and beginning in March, for the first time ever, the preliminary Mayor's Management Report will include key metrics related to human service contracting. This is a major step forward in greater transparency, accountability, and ongoing tracking across agencies. We also continue our internal performance management system to track contract cycle times and identify bottlenecks. In addition, we conducted 4 quarterly provider sentiment surveys to gather insights into nonprofits' experience with contracting agencies. Their feedback is integrated into our system to help pinpoint areas for improvement. Every month, we share key payment performance indicators with our chief nonprofit officers. And last fall, we held our first convening with city leadership to review this data and align on improvements across agencies. Based on our analysis, we saw a 41% increase in approved budget modifications in the first quarter of FY 2026 compared to the same period last year, and the provider sentiment scores have improved consistently since last December. We are focused on policies that help streamline processes for providers. First, during last April's hearing, nonprofits raised concerns about delays in receiving payments for approved indirect cost rates. In response, MONS launched Prompt Action on Indirect Delta, or PAID, a citywide campaign that supports agencies to review prior year payments and unlock outstanding funds, including COLA adjustments for nonprofit contracts. Agencies have already developed action plans to pay out owed funds this year and are in the process of paying out millions of dollars. Second, the city has developed a standard audited financial report, or SAFER, which creates a uniform single audit process across agencies to reduce administrative burdens for nonprofits and provide a comprehensive view into how nonprofit providers manage city dollars. Culture change is just as important as policy reform, and we know it doesn't happen overnight. We expect and celebrate excellence in service delivery, which is why we're launching the nomination process this spring for the Excellence in Human Service Delivery Awards, a celebration of the nonprofits and public servants who go above and beyond for New Yorkers. We also declared August 19th through the 22nd as New York City Nonprofit Week, where city leadership will visit providers to tour their organization and present them with proclamations to show their appreciation. Last fall, I led a customer service training for 80 city agency employees. Survey results showed confidence in having the tools and skills to support providers jumped from 22% to 62.5%, a 40.5 point increase, the largest we've recorded. And empathy for nonprofit providers facing payment delays also rose from 40% to 68.75%, a 28.75 point gain. We also hosted a workshop for 147 procurement professionals focused on supporting nonprofits through the contracting process as part of our capacity building efforts. And thank you to Councilmember Stevens for presenting during Nonprofit Essentials, our 10-week training series for emerging nonprofits seeking to contract with the city. This series, which ended last month, supported over 70 nonprofits on topics such as community asset mapping, strategic planning, volunteer management, legal support, financial management, insurance, and marketing best practices. We have also been actively engaging with council members across the boroughs to support nonprofits and strengthen community partners. In fact, we've attended and co-hosted 6 nonprofit roundtables with community boards and elected officials, including Councilmember Stevens, Councilmember Joseph, Queensborough President Richards, and most recently Senator Comrie, to provide one-on-one support to providers in their districts. We're grateful for your partnership, which is why we are launching Connect, City and Council members' open nonprofit networks for engagement and collaboration tours. Through this initiative, we will host roundtables in each of the 51 council districts over the course of the administration's first term. We will offer resources for providers, troubleshoot contracting issues in real time with our chief nonprofit officers, and help providers navigate Passport. We look forward to working together to see this initiative through and encourage any council member to reach out to us. We're also grateful for the 31 members of our Nonprofit Advisory Council. These nonprofit leaders serve as our trusted advisors and thought partners, helping us remain accountable to the sector. Thank you for calling this hearing today. We're currently reviewing Introduction 441 and 452 and look forward to further discussion. For Intro 441, we review the bill and are open to finding ways to ensure community-based nonprofits are equipped to apply for upcoming RFPs and are aware of opportunities to contract with the city. Regarding Intro 452, while we support the intent of the bill, we believe there are serious operational and fiscal challenges for implementation of this bill as written. Our office is always here for nonprofits, just like they're here for New Yorkers. Thank you.
Great. I want to just thank you both for really thoughtful testimony today. Lots of really positive things to pull out. Excited to learn more about the Mock Citywide Payment Task Force, the Returnable Grant Fund expansion, the success around partial invoices, the success we've seen on advances increasing by $200,000 on average this year, and the growth to 50% advances. The council discretionary pilot is something that I think we're going to dig into a lot in the months to come. Excited to understand the data in the PMMR, Passport enhancements taking effect later this year. Lots of positive things. So thank you both for that, those good insights in the testimony. I will invite my smart colleagues to start first. Because you know what?
Don't worry, we'll stop you.
You'll stop me. There you go. Because, once I get started, I get wound up. It's my second. We had a when I was at the. All right, it's okay. You missed. With friends like these. Luckily, Gail's mic isn't on. Just kidding.
Gets wound up no matter what.
I enjoy both of these colleagues very much. They like to give me a hard time, and I mostly deserve it. Okay, I want to try to approach questions kind of first doing contract registration and how that's going, shift to budget readiness, and then to invoicing, and then handle some other issues. But they'll interrupt me at some point when they're ready to jump in, and because otherwise they'll be waiting a long time. So last April, I've mentioned this controller's report that I found quite enlightening. Reported there were 2,508 nonprofit contracts valued at $4.6 billion that were awaiting registration, even though their start dates had passed. And we got updated data from the controller today that over 90% of human services contracts registered since July 1st of 2025 have been registered late, and that nearly 50% of those were registered more than a year late. Wondering if you all can provide some insight into kind of what's the landscape today of how many of where we are today on registration. How many contracts are awaiting registration that are already late right now?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question, Chair. We have a lot to share on that topic. I will say, as it relates to the Comptroller's report, one thing that I will flag, their report does include discretionary contracts, which, as we know and have been trying to raise awareness on, they are inherently retroactive and delayed. I think Director Yu will have a lot to say on the timeliness initiative, which is real blood, sweat, and equity that her team leads with agencies. And so do you want to expand on that, Director Yu?
That's a good point.
So thank you for the question, Chair, and thank you, Executive Director Cedillo. I too will segment some of this to try to bucket things so that they're digestible pieces. Right. And I look forward to, in follow-up conversations, even diving deeper into that most recent bit of data that you received from the Comptroller's Office. I will say
we just got it this morning, so I'm
okay.
still processing it.
Okay. They do vary in their methodology in producing data. So sometimes it doesn't align, but I will speak about the data from our perspective. So starting at the top with the segmenting of the data, I'll share that it is a new year, new administration, and we are inheriting a backlog. I want to be very, very honest about that. So there is something to be said that the backlog is something that exists and we have to deal with. In addition to that, we have to be forward looking and we have to be strategic and proactive and prevent the backlog from furthering. So with that, want to lift up and highlight the work that MOX is leading and coordinating. We do this annually. We do an initiative across our city agencies, in particular with our city nonprofit agencies, where we're looking to the contracts, the human service contracts that are going to start July 1st of the new fiscal year 2027. We convene these agencies and we do a lot of project planning just to ensure that they hit the target of July 1st, 2026. As I mentioned in the testimony, on-time contract registration means the ability for advances to flow, which means cash flow to the organizations, and then ultimately for invoices to happen and payment to happen on those invoices. So that's forward looking. We are very, very hopeful about this year's initiative. We have new leadership, renewed energy. In addition to tracking on our traditional fiscal year contracts that are planned to start, we're also expanding the pool of contracts that we're tracking on. We're tracking on contracts that will also start August 1st, so later into the fiscal year, so that those contracts are brought into, as you mentioned, Chair, the rigor and the process to achieve on-time registration. And Councilmember Stevens, you'll appreciate this. We will also be tracking on the Compass contracts, the after-school program contracts, as part of the timeliness initiative. Yes. So that's all looking forward. But let me
Quantify the backlog today.
I'm happy to do that. So let me share. Let me just rattle off some stats and then I can do some filling in. So we pulled this last month. So this is early January of last month. So, and this is what we're able to see in Passport. The human service backlog is $2.3 billion. 2,275 contracts. I want to add some points of comparison just to show the relativity. Compared to January 2025, the health and human service backlog was $4.7 billion. And there were 3,224 contracts. So the dollar backlog decreased by 52%, a product of targeted backlog cleanup and FY26 timely registration performance. So the contract count, however, the contract count did increase. So despite a near 25% reduction of retroactive discretionary amendments, contract amendments are on the rise. So 93% of backlog amendments were launched in 2025. So that's a fair amount of technical data that I will scale out for a moment. So that's the health and human service backlog as of January 2026.
Okay. And just so I make sure that I had that right, 2,775 contracts, worth $2.3 billion is the backlog. Compared to a year ago, that was in January of 2025, that was $4.7 billion and 3,000 contracts.
That's right.
So we
2024.
3,024.
No, 25. I'm sorry.
Oh no, in FY
yes.
she was saying
I'm
the
sorry.
number was
Excuse me. I'm
3,024,
sorry.
which was 100% accurate.
Yes.
I didn't mean to round down too much. So we cut in half the amount of money, but only decreased by 10% the contract. So we focused on larger contracts. It sounds like to clear that backlog, or we focused on registering those larger contracts rather than council discretionary contracts or other things like that. Okay. That is very helpful. Do you, just because we are in the process of implementing some pretty expansive reforms around discretionary contracts, did you pull that out, since Michael mentioned it earlier, that in the controller's report?
Yes. So we've got some additional data by procurement method and by the agencies.
Right.
And so I'll do the method first. So by the procurement method count, 67%, and that's 1,536 of the contracts are discretionary contracts, and 29%, 623 of them are amendments. And then the backlog by agency, by agency, it's 62%. It's 1,442 actions are backlogged, are DYCD, and that's traditionally because DYCD does have the bulk of the discretionary contracts. And then by the agency dollars, we've got 36%, it's 825.6 million of the backlog dollars are with DHS.
Got it. And as you look back, as you're looking today, clearly concentration in terms of number of contracts because of the DYCD discretionary contracts are there, but are there any agencies that are, other than DYCD, that have substantial backlogs that you could highlight for us?
I think I would limit it to those two that I would pull out in particular, DYCD and DHS, which are very distinct and unique, and worthwhile if I could provide some color and some meat on the bones. Starting at the top, and we, Executive Director Cedillo and I both spoke about the promise of the discretionary grant pilot. These small agreements, what we like to say, they gunk up the system.
Totally.
They're low dollar value, high in transaction, and we traditionally treat them as standard procurements, multi-step, very timely. They have to go through the entire process before payment can be made. The grant pilot really cleaves off a lot of processes, shrinks the time, allows cash to be tendered upon signature. That's just a reimagining, a re-engineering of that process, and we're really hopeful that to see what fruits this pilot bears. So that's distinct to the discretionary contract, and as I mentioned, DYCD has the most discretionary contracts as an agency. And I'll speak to DHS. DHS, that agency, homelessness prevention, homelessness services, those contracts are incredibly complex. The largest in terms of dollar, in terms of time, in terms of shifting dynamics, new needs. They are very challenging. And also I will share that that agency often gets thrust upon to meet the demands of the moment. On a very short amount of time. You will recall under the last administration, they really stepped up and did a lot of the asylum seeker response. So to do those contracts that are not planned and just inserted up, thrust upon them, that will certainly impact how their numbers look.
That's helpful. I'm very hopeful about this council discretionary pilot and the planned expansion for next fiscal year. I think it will really help create capacity for our contracting shops. I think it will really help small nonprofits. I think it will still be a challenging process for larger nonprofits. The multi-year contracts will hopefully provide some efficiencies. We have already been starting to get some feedback from Council of Finance that not all of the agencies have been as fully cooperative as we're hoping. So we should continue to have that conversation together on what the learnings are from the pilot and how we make sure that we're in a good position for the expansion to be successful next year.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Chair. I think we would welcome a meeting sometime in the late spring to just review how the first year went and make plans for the planned expansion in the upcoming year, and maybe set some larger goals together as a larger expansion as well.
I think that would be great. We'll definitely get that on the books. I think that my understanding was that 90 of the 120 have already been that they've already been registered and they've received payment. Was the data I think we got on Monday, but Molly can correct me.
So thanks, Chair, for that one as well. It's actually, I think over 100 have received all their payment at this point. And I just a point of clarification, I do want to make sure we don't use the word registration for the grantees. Sorry to be a stickler. I think you might appreciate that in some ways, but that's just because it's so foundational to the point we're trying to make. Vast majority of our backlog discretionary contracts, they shouldn't be treated like contracts. There's a precedent with DCLA already. Let's just treat them like they are. And if we really care about making sure that new providers to the city's contracting process have a scaffolding experience to where they can more and more expand their scope and influence and services with the city, this is a great way to do it.
Okay, so recognizing, I think the first words out of your mouth, Director Yu, in response to my question was, this new administration is inheriting a backlog. And so recognizing that, it's still a substantial backlog of over $2 billion as of the beginning of the term. Is there a plan to launch a Clear the Backlog initiative? Is there, why or why not? And perhaps a Clear the Backlog initiative that's more expansive than just contract registration, but also focused on timely processing of invoices in particular?
Thank you for the question, Chair. It's certainly, I would say, in this moment in time, we are very focused with just the realities, recognizing we all have certain capacities and certain wanting to focus on priorities. We're laser focused on preventing a furtherance of a backlog. That's not to say with the passage of time, we still on a regular routine basis chip away at the backlog, but a backlog initiative that is similar to what maybe the prior administration did, that is something that we would need to follow up with and really sketch out and plan.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say that I think we need a Clear the Backlog initiative plus a series of commitments and reforms and to ensure that the backlog doesn't grow from again, as happened. I think we saw an effort at the beginning of the last administration led when Deputy Mayor Wright was in charge of the strategic initiatives portfolio that reduced the backlog, and then we saw things creep back up as I think there was less focus across the street. I certainly want to be your partner in making sure that the deputy mayors are focused on this and whipping their agencies into shape so that we get the results that we all want to see.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I do actually thank you for mentioning that because I do want to mention both Director you and I report up to Deputy Mayor Kurson, who is incredibly engaged about this.
Right.
We're very fortunate. The mayor is incredibly clear-eyed about expecting excellence in service delivery. I happen to just think that this is an area where government trust is at stake, right? Like our provider partners, our customers, our New Yorkers need to understand that government can actually execute and deliver for them. And so we're focused on that. I would also point out for Director Hughes, the Timeliness Registration Initiative, 85% of the game from a dollar standpoint is in DM Arteaga's portfolio. I've met with her 2 or 3 times in the last couple of weeks, and she attended Director Hughes' Timeliness Initiative kickoff. They're incredibly engaged, like no ego. What does this mean? Like really, really we're getting the leadership and attention that we need across the street, and so I expect that to continue.
Great. I think that those 2 individuals in particular are going to be really critical partners for us to help ensure that resources are dedicated, the staff is in place, and the results are what we all expect. So you have my commitment. I've already begun speaking with their staffs, and we'll escalate. We'll go to them directly in the near future as we begin to put a plan together. Before I pass it to these guys, I just want to check in on a bill that Councilmember Stevens passed 2 years ago. That was a really important piece of legislation that I was excited to vote for. And I just think the follow-up that we saw from Mox in the previous administration was lacking. Local Law 169 of 2023 required Mox to make a study and recommendations and timeline and framework for the city's procurement process. The report that Mox released found that from FY22 to FY24, contract cycle ranged from 354 to 621 days, and then they suggested a timeline from 325 to 510 days, which just frankly didn't feel like the improvement that any of us were looking for. And if I remember the report from then Director Flores, it only went to the point of contract registration, not beyond. And I think, as you testified to today, Mox is really committed to helping to address payment issues as well, not just beyond the point of registration. So are you thinking about revisiting compliance with Local Law 169? Would you be open to working with Councilmember Stevens and I and the PPB to review and adopt recommendations that could try to set timeframes for our procurement process to hold ourselves accountable?
Chair, Councilmember Stevens, thank you for lifting up this important piece of legislation. I've shared that I was part of the negotiation and the final product of this particular piece of legislation, and then I was part of the seeing through, enacting, and implementing this legislation. Of course, I would welcome the partnership and the collaboration. I've also shared candidly, I think the end product was not a desired product by either side. And I'll scale out and say that it is the North Star of Mox to make procurement, contracting, invoicing, and payment more predictable. So if we can align around that as the priority and use whatever tools to try to achieve that, and if timelines is something to consider, I would welcome those conversations.
Councilmember, is that okay with you? Okay.
I just want, and I'll pass it back to you. I had a follow up because I found out information afterwards. How many people do you have working on reports in mocks?
Exclusively working on reports?
Mhm.
Many Mox team members wear many hats.
I know, but when from the prior director, one of the issues that came about because this report did come up a lot, and one of the issues was that there was like one dedicated person to work on most of the reports that aren't regulated by this agency. I'm just trying to get to one, the supports that you guys need, and why we continue to fight for more lines and staffing because it is great for us to work together, but if you don't have the proper staff to be able to actually spend time to the reports, I think that that's something that we need to make sure that we're highlighting and making sure that we're putting on the record, because I know sometimes you guys don't get to say the things that I can, but I think that that's a huge issue, that if we have one person in Mox working on a number of reports, we're going to get reports that aren't reflective of what we're looking for. So I definitely want to make sure that during this budget season, we're advocating for you guys to have more staff to be able to have adequate reports so that we can have data and things to move forward so that we can accomplish that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Stevens. Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you. Along the same line, first of all, people love both of you and they hate everybody else, just so you know. I get this. I get this from lots of different people, and they're very glad you're both there. Um, but
Gail saying it is true.
it is true. Gail doesn't lie. I can tell you because I listen and I say it. So anyway, the issue though is still staffing, because what happens, I have a great staff in terms of working with the different nonprofits. Obviously, the ones we're dealing with are probably the small ones that you're talking about that are challenging. But they do feel that, particularly with DYCD, there's not a timely response when documents submitted expire. And that's a big problem, because then they have to resubmit. And, in a small staff, resubmitting is horrible. So, and then there's turnover. Now, maybe not in this administration, but there has been turnover at the agency. So the two questions about how do you get not having to resubmit all the time? And secondly, if a person leaves, can somebody be sort of in the wing so that that group doesn't have to go through with a new staff member? I know this seems like, mundane, but when you're dealing with these small nonprofits, this is such a hard experience.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question, Councilmember, and also for the kind words. It means a lot. I think the mayor recently sunset the 2-for-1 hiring freeze, so we expect to see an infusion of more talent and capacity to agencies from that. I'm also aware that agencies like DYCD got additional staff lines in recent plans. And I also do think it's important to just go back to what we keep talking about with the discretionary grant pilot, because that is so much less onerous, both for our providers, but also our agency staff too. When you look at DYCD, they have 55% of all discretionary contracts, more than every other agency combined. And those are really hard for them because they often have to provide the white glove service to get the insurance documents in or any other holdup. So I think there's also an aspect here of realizing that the job has significantly changed in the last 10, certainly last 15 years. I mean, I started at Mox in 2016, which then Passport was a new thing. And so I think as the city continues to realize what it means to be a procurement professional and to be somebody who processes nonprofit contracts, the skills may change. And so it might not just be a simple staffing issue. It might also just be like how are we training them to meet the new demands? Correct.
Okay. So I guess when you're talking to maybe make it clear that these, what the chair was asking about, could also be addressed by the staffing responsibilities and input, et cetera, because I think that's a big problem, the staffing period. So
yeah, thank you, Councilmember. I think that's a great point.
Everybody's sending me questions, and they're all about staffing. The other question I have is, many of these nonprofits take out bridge loans, et cetera, as you know only too well. So I wanted to know, do you keep track of the private market lines of credit to make up the shortfalls? Because obviously payroll has to be made. Do you have any idea regarding the extent of the problem, the high interest rates, the fees, the terms? And, obviously nonprofits go to the private banks if the city has no interest returnable loan grant fund. Obviously, the fund for the city of New York helps. But how do you, that's a terrible situation. I have so many complaints. How are we addressing it? Do you keep track? And I guess as part of we're going to do much better, hopefully this will not have to be part of the scenario. Can you comment on that?
Councilmember Brewer, thank you so much for the question. Let me start off by saying it is an unacceptable reality that providers, nonprofit providers, should have to take out private lines of credit at market rate interest.
You do.
Yes, we understand that that's a reality. One of the escape valves, you've mentioned and it's in collaboration, a very important partnership that we have with the Fund for the City of New York. You mentioned it, the interest-free returnable grant fund.
Yeah.
I have some. So if you are a nonprofit provider who's listening, please know that we have streamlined the application process and expanded the eligibility criteria for you to receive an interest-free loan from the returnable grant fund. It's available on our Mox website. It's available on the Mons website. It's available if you Google RGF Returnable Grant Fund. We actively try to market that. We actively try to make sure that there's awareness because it is such an important tool to when a provider is facing cash flow issues or unable to meet payroll. And I've been on the receiving end of those phone calls on a Friday before a long weekend, and they need
Payroll.
the cash. Exactly. But let me tell you a few stats if I could, because the loan fund is available. It's online. So we've got the fiscal year 2026 data. We've got the total number of applications we received, 238, and we processed $78.5 million. We approved 216, and we approved $65.5 million. And there were, the number of unique providers was 127. The agencies that utilize the loan fund the most are New York City Public School, DYCD, and DSS HRA.
This is what you were saying earlier
Yes.
about the agencies that use it.
Yes, and an interesting tidbit that is worth highlighting. We used to see the same providers using the loan fund over and over again, signaling to us that maybe they knew about it and they knew to access it. But what we've seen with our active communications, we've seen new providers submit applications and get loans. And I'll read off this stat. From FY24 to FY25, there was an increase in new providers obtaining returnable grant fund loans. 67% of the FY25 loan recipients did not submit a request in FY24. And one more piece while we're rattling off data. In fiscal year 2025, let's see, we've got 186 providers, 305 loans, and $104 million, which was the total value of the loans.
And then do you keep track of the ones that are stuck with the private banks, or you don't keep track of that? Maybe you can't.
We do not, council member.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No, and if I may just add on to that, I think there's maybe a habit with the providers where they have a relationship with the bank and things are dire and they go to their banks. I just want to underscore what Director Yu said. And when we go out with each of you to your districts to have the roundtables, workshops, we will continue to make sure folks know about it. I'm often, despite our best efforts of getting the outreach and getting the word out, I'm often being the one to tell people about the option. And so if there's any delays or if any process delays at agencies, Mox goes very quickly, but they can reach out to either Director Yu or I, and we can make sure to work with the chief nonprofit officers to expedite it.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. I know I said when I first came in, but I'm very happy to see that you guys are still with this administration. I think Gail hit it on the head when she said that most people don't like a lot of people, and they do like you guys. So that is saying a lot. And I guess for me, it's just wanting to, even before I get into some questions around my bill, I just wanted to start out by asking, what are some things that we should be advocating for you guys in this budget cycle? Because I think it's important for us to be thinking about what are the needs. And sometimes I don't think people understand the capacity where during budget season, we're always talking about initiatives to fund and all the things we want to get funded, but Mox does not ever seem to be a priority. And I'm like, hey, we can get all this money, but if it is not able to get out the door, who cares? And so I just wanted to just quickly ask you guys, what are some things that you guys really are fighting for and pushing for and think that you need to move this work along?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember. I think from my perspective, we fully have all the staff we need at Mons to continue to work on our efforts to improve the relationship between the city and nonprofit providers. And I think we're also very fortunate to have really renewed interest and engagement from our leaders across the street at City Hall. I think the most important thing we could ask from the council is, one, to make sure folks know that they don't have to toil alone. Like, I'm often hearing from folks where, they just didn't know who to contact. Like, that's what we do. That's what the chief nonprofit officers do. So please don't let anybody suffer alone. We're very happy to help solve problems. And the second one is just continued alignment on the discretionary grant opportunity that presents both for the council, for the agencies, and for our nonprofit providers. I would, of course, want us to go as bold as possible, knowing that there's precedent with the Department of Cultural Affairs. I think with those ways and continued engagement on that piece is the best way we can engage.
Councilmember Stevens, thank you so much for the question and planting the seed. I really do look forward to engaging in this conversation more fully, and also in preparation, because I know we are entering into budget season. I'll say at Mox, like any organization, we are faced with the same constraints any employer is faced with. A workforce that we want to be fully skilled, as robust, and capable and competent to be able to move the work that is prioritized, which is, as I spoke about during my testimony. And also, the reality is, so much of Mox's work, in addition to the people, is the technology. And so I really welcome further conversations about the realistic costs of that technology and everything it is required to support that. So thank you for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I asked this too because I've been meeting with the deputy mayors, and I've been very clear that this work is a priority for me. I mean, I've said this so many times before that I'm really trying to fix the system so I can go back and work there, so I don't have to have this headache. So, I have an invested interest here. So really want to work with you guys to figure out what are the real needs. And I think, even like you said, that technology piece is so important, and how that has not been a real investment there. And even with passports, it was one of the things where it came online during the pandemic, and we've never really been able to catch up. And also looking like, is this the system that makes the most sense for this size municipality? I guess I'll move on to some of my questions regarding some of the bills. So intro 441, what is the contract's indirect cost offered to nonprofits, and does the administration support allowing nonprofits to use the federal indirect costs for city contracts?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember. We're very proud of the indirect cost rate. It's not a very old initiative. I think it's from 2019, similar to our advance payment. Both of those are things we're very proud. In addition to the COLA, the $741 million COLA, the Wage Enhancement Initiative, all ways in which we specifically support the nonprofit provider community. As it relates to the indirect cost rate, we're not prepared to make any changes to the de minimis, but of course, nonprofit providers can go out and certify for a higher than de minimis rate for their indirect cost rates, and many do.
The administration will issue indirect cost rate manual to nonprofits. Could Intro 441 work in tandem with the manual, or would the manual need to be amended to accommodate the bill?
That's a great question, Councilmember. I'm not sure. I think there's likely some changes that would need to be made to realize the recommendations, the ultimate recommendations of the task force. I think it would be hard to say at this point, but I think any change to policy or programming, especially as it relates to indirect cost, would have ripple effects for fiscal manuals, both at the agency and citywide level.
Does the administration support this bill?
Intro 441? Thank you for the question, Councilmember. I think the administration is spiritually aligned with what you're trying to accomplish with the bill. I think there are many ways in which to support small, culturally relevant nonprofit partners. Again, particularly with the discretionary grant pilot, continuing to expand that. And
Gail said you don't support it. I'll just say no.
What's that? I heard laughing behind. I'm not sure what I did wrong.
Gail said no. You don't support it. That was a long way to say no. But
Again, spiritually aligned. And I think that there's a lot of ways to accomplish the goal. And I think really ways we're already doing that, like the Nonprofit Essentials training that you joined us, the nonprofit office hours that Mox runs, and really making it so that folks can see the city as a customer of choice or a partner of choice. I think right now, the experience I hear from nonprofit providers, and I would feel the same way if I were allocated a $5,000 award from the city council, the administrative cost is just way too high to even do that. And I think that deters people from getting on the ladder of partnering with the city. And so I think there are many meaningful ways we could partner to achieve the same goal.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, especially when I'm thinking about the disparities within the contracting, I'm always thinking about how do we make sure that the smaller nonprofits are able to be effective and thoughtful. And unfortunately, the city makes everything hard. And working with the government makes everything hard. And I'm about how do we make these things easier, especially when you have a lot of the little guys doing a lot of the work. And so, what does that look like? And so, I know that there's some people who are not necessarily a fan of task force. I'm not either, but we've seen how task force have really produced really good recommendations. Even when we're thinking about the backlog, a lot of those were from a task force that produced recommendations that were implemented, although we were back in a backlog, but that's a whole nother story. But I think that it is something that we do have to make sure that we're keeping in the forefront of our minds. And because even when we're talking about the COLA and all that, that wasn't done because the city wanted to. That was done because nonprofit providers got together and Just Pay became a campaign, and there were 3,000 people standing outside screaming, saying we are not going to take this anymore. And so I don't want us to have to go there, and I don't want us to have to keep doing that. And so I think that it's like, how do we come up with solutions to make sure that equity is happening and what that looks like? I'm not even going to go into 452 because I think that's like a budget fight that I need to have around the wages and doing it. But everybody knows I'm here to fight to make sure that we're bringing up that floor wage for our nonprofit providers, because that field is predominantly women and women of color, and their wages should reflect the work that they're doing and not us trying to save money on the backs of our workforce. So that's more of a budget fight. So I'll spare you guys my questions on that. But thank you, Chair.
Great. Thank you both, and please feel free to kick me again if you'd like to jump in. I wanted to go back to something that Councilmember Stevens was asking about a moment ago, which is kind of staffing needs, but not directly for Mox or Mons, and really for the agencies that we work with. Maybe I'll ask the question this way. For an interested party like myself who wants to understand how the contracting division at the health department is staffed and the fiscal unit at the health department is staffed, how do I access that data? Is there any clear public or internal data that you all have access to understand if a human services agency is appropriately staffed on their contracting and fiscal teams?
That's a really great question, Chair. I think it has been a very difficult question to easily answer. We have both worked separately and together on trying to get under the hood there. And it is sufficiently complicated, and we don't say that easily because we handle a lot of complicated things together. But you look at different agencies, some are centralized, some are decentralized. Some agencies have programming folks that have a role to play in the invoicing process, others don't. Some folks have 3 levels of invoice approval, some have 2. Some agencies have a history of audits from the comptroller or DOI, and so they have been responsive to that and are risk averse from that perspective. So I think all to say it's complicated. I wish there were an easy answer for that, but there's not.
My recollection, although I'm sure Director, you will correct me if I am misremembering, is that there were some protections for Mox around the 2-for-1, replacements. But there were no protections for contract and fiscal staff at any city agency, correct? They were entirely subject. Every human services agency has been subject to this 2-for-1 dynamic that was recently lifted last week.
No, thank you so much for the question, Chair. Actually, about a year ago, before I came into this role, it was one of the things we realized we needed to be able to do is provide that flexibility to agencies. And so we were very clear when I started in this role in this office that we needed to exempt agency positions that have to do with human service contracting from the 2-for-1. And OMB has approved since then, I think 180 plus PARs that agency has sent them that were exempt from it. Of course, that doesn't in and of itself mean that the folks are in the role and that they're, up to speed immediately. But that has been something that we've enjoyed for the past year, that exemption across agencies.
Okay. Should Mox and Mons have a kind of model staffing model for human services agencies to determine kind of how much headcount is needed to process X number of contracts or contracts of Y billions of dollars? Like, are there general recommendations that we should be providing to agency heads and OMB for what we think is necessary for these agencies to actually be able to do their jobs?
So, chairs, thank you so much for this line of questioning. And in addition to what Executive Director Cedillo was mentioning, I think so. Just to take one step back, and I will get to the question about the model staffing plan and the capacity for the volume of contracts. The other things that we can put in place to streamline the work.
Interrupt you for 1 second.
Of course.
I just see Jill Cross leaving, and everyone always says that ACS does this the best. That they are the premier city agency as it relates to processing human services contracts. So just so she knows, I'm going to ask about why ACS does a good job. So I just wanted to say that. That was my next question. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wasn't going to let her sneak out before I did that. Go ahead. You should finish as you were saying, and then you know what my next question is.
So just yes, ACS is a star performer historically, and we expect that they will remain to be. But what I was saying was there are other things beyond just the people, which is the training to make sure that the skills of the people are at the right level for
Right.
what they're expected to do and produce. And in addition to that, there are things that we can put in place, such as standardized documents, standardized templates, checklists, right? That will quicken the work.
Totally.
And then the other thing is the delegations. It just the framework and the rules that were put in place decades ago may no longer be fit for purpose and serve us. And so maybe it makes sense to through delegation chunk out portions and it completely bypass certain shops. So those are some tools that we can put in place that we have to be mindful in using when we are also looking at the staffing capacity.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think Mox and Mons providing more technical assistance. I think what Director Cedillo testified to in his remarks, his prepared remarks, kind of the emphasis on customer service and celebrating the good work that's happening, all of that's great. I think having consistent templates across the board is helpful, not just for city agencies, but also for the providers, because there can be more consistency across the contracting process. But I do really think we need to focus on headcount, because at the end of the day, if you don't have enough people to do these jobs, no matter how good your systems and processes are, backlogs will grow. So I don't know the answer today. I think we'll look at whether there's an opportunity for terms and conditions in the budget to require the human services agencies to report on this. And we'll think about other ways that we can get at this data. But I think it's really important that it be something that you all are tracking and that we're tracking together to make sure that agency heads are being held accountable, that there's enough headcount in place to do this work. So, as I warned you, my next question was, everybody says ACS does a great job. They don't say that about every agency, but I'm asking the question in a nice way instead of highlighting some of the more problematic folks. Why do you think ACS does a great job, and what should we be replicating at other agencies that they're doing well?
I'll take the first crack at that. Thank you so much for the question, Chair. There are multiple reasons. When I first started in this role, I had heard reputationally about this as well. And so I actually asked some of the provider partners. Kafka is a big umbrella group that works a lot with ACS, and their members do. And the consistent response I got was that they have a culture of just responsiveness, of partnership. They are one of the agencies that have for a long time had a regular ongoing dialogue and convening with their provider partners. So I think there's a feeling, and I don't think this is, I don't mean to minimize this in any way. I think there's a real feeling by the providers that if there's an issue, they can call ACS, they can reach out to Jill or someone, and somebody will be responsive and help them solve that issue. And I also think that they have a history, at least in the last few years under their leadership, of being really data-driven in their performance. I meet regularly with a lot of the different agency heads at human service agencies. Commissioner Danhauser has, I actually don't know if he continued this from Commissioner Hansel or if this was new, but he often requires for direct reports to report on this data, like really cares. When I submit their monthly reports, Commissioner Danhauser would ask questions like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Incredibly engaged. And I think all of the work that Director Yu and I do is like all about how do we send the right signal to everyone across the administration that this is a priority and this is some place that the mayor expects excellence in service delivery. And I think we have a great partner in ACS from the top all the way to the staff level, really beating that same drum.
That's great. I mean, I think the things that we've heard, and I'm sure Councilmember Stevens has great insights here too, is a sense of partnership around developing procurements, concept papers, collaboration from the beginning of the process, and then a commitment, as you noted, to like prioritizing the data and managing around these issues effectively. And I think having a commissioner that comes from the human services sector matters. And, David, Jess, I mean, you have a series of people who have been on the other side and understand how important this is. And, I wish that we could ingrain that same orientation and approach more effectively at other agencies. And hopefully with the new ACS commissioner, we'll see similar excellence. So thank you, Jill, for being here. And thank you for all the work you do. Jill has solved problems for me for many years, so I'm glad she's solving problems for lots of other people too. Budget
Chair, if I could
readiness.
add one thing too, I will also make a plug. I completely agree with everything Executive Director CDO said, and I wish Jill were here. Oh, she is still here.
Stayed. She heard. She heard.
I
you were
will
about to
just
say
a
something
small
nice.
plug. I will say that the ACS contracting team, they recruit very heavily from the MOX team. Yes.
Wow. Wow.
And we are the
secret,
breeding
huh?
ground.
Listen, maybe it was, that could be Jill's strategy. All right, there you go. That's it.
I hope the administration is listening.
Chair, we
okay.
too have pulled from Mox on our team as well. So.
Before I know that, I'm seeing Jenny in the front row. Before I go to budget readiness, I just wanted to ask one other capacity question. The Controller Lander put out a report last year about delays in the contracts division in law. And just wondering, are you all tracking staffing issues in that unit in particular in contracts and real estate? I know that, if I recall their data correctly, there was a controller audit that was a very small sample. They looked at 65 contracts. I think 15 were in Passport and 50 were not in 23 and 20 in calendar years 23 and 24. And they found 21% of those contracts were with the law department for over a month. So the law department's reviewing for over a month. Controller doesn't have, has only 30 days, right? That is longer than we all want to see. Or is this a data point that you all are tracking, and how are we managing toward better outcomes?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Chair, and actually bringing this to our attention. I did not catch that in the Comptroller's report. We do have a Chief Nonprofit Officer at Law Department, as well as OMB and Mox here as well. Rich, Rich is here. That's Law Department's Chief Nonprofit Officer. We'll discuss this with him right after this. I've not been made aware of that issue. I do know the Law Department has done a lot of work in the last year or two with Mox's leadership to delegate more tasks to agencies and try to reduce the amount of things they have to review, both from a templatizing standpoint and a delegation standpoint.
Great. This was a press release from the controller on September 11th from 2025 that highlighted some of the delays in the contract and real estate division. I have worked closely with Amrita over the years and think exceptionally highly of her, and I'm sure her team is very competent. But if there's staffing shortages there, we want to make sure that that's something that we're addressing. I think there's been a lot of focus over the last few years about how much headcount does Mox have, but I don't think that's the only issue in the system that's really slowing things down that we need to be looking at more holistically. Shifting to budget readiness, I met with Legal Services of New York recently, and they told us they have 16 contracts. All contracts have been registered, great, but only 6 of the 16 have been approved for vouchering. They only have budgets approved for 6 of the 16 contracts. So they have 10 budgets that they can't submit an invoice for. They can't get an advance on, right? Do you know how many registered contracts citywide lack approved budgets so that nonprofits are able to submit invoices, and how are we tracking this effectively across the board? And I just want to welcome Councilmember Jim Gennaro and thank the good gentleman from Queens for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Chair, and welcome, Councilmember. So I speak regularly with Legal Aid Society and their excellent staff you may know who have experience in city government and know city fiscal very well. You know, we have new leadership at HRA's OCJ, an award-winning leader in Masha Gindler that we're really excited to partner with. I think her and Christine Fellini at DSS, they're really working to standardize processes across the way. I will also say Masha and her team has been very creative when needed to be for Legal Aid Society or other partners that have had delays in the budget process. I don't think the outstanding budgets are what the standard that we would want to have at our city agencies. And I think that Masha and Diane Mamet, DSS's Chief Nonprofit Officer here, would say that as well. But we're working on it, and we could be creative, including giving them additional advances and making sure that they can have cash flow.
My sense is that OJC is in a bad place on their contracts. Agree with you that Masha's a capable person and will eventually figure it out. We'll be in touch with her to try and help expedite that as much as possible. But I'm more interested in the broader question on budget readiness. Like, how are we tracking this? I keep hearing that contracts are getting registered and that progress is being made there, but then we're not moving on a parallel track through the contracting process to get the budgets ready. Some agencies are waiting until the contract gets freaking registered before they start the process of reviewing the budget, which is so stupid and shouldn't happen. And so I just am trying to understand, A, how are we tracking this issue more holistically? And B, how are we giving clear guidance to agencies that they have to be working on a parallel track? We can't be waiting to start review of a budget until after a contract is registered.
Councilmember, I appreciate you drilling down and going to this level of detail because the nonprofits who are in the audience are this is a pain point, right? And so starting at the top where we have procurement, contract award, contract registration, advance, invoicing, and then payment. Layer below that between contract registration and invoiceability and then payment, we've got this budget readiness concept, right? Where a nonprofit provider needs to submit a budget and the agency needs to approve that budget. And that work needs to happen in order to be invoiceable and for cash flow to happen. With the MOX Financial Task Force, this is a bit of the bread and butter that they do. They do the invoice accountability. They see the invoices in the system, and they're looking at the days that are counting on the clock so that it doesn't exceed the 30-day standard. But in addition to that, they're looking at this budget readiness concept. And if you'll indulge me, I'll take a step back that this was further complicated in very recent memory because of a system migration. The legacy system of HHS Accelerator into Passport really complicated this. And so there was a period of time where this was very painful for the providers and for the agencies, where the migration of not just the contracts, but the budgets was not a clean sweep. And so there was a lot of cleanup that had to be done. But going forward, going along the themes of being forward-looking and being strategic and proactive, this fiscal year, as part of our timeliness initiative, in addition to making sure that the contracts are registered on time, the other component is budget readiness, meaning able to be paid on time. And so it's something that we are doing with a small but mighty team at MOX. And we are issuing, we've got a number of directives that we're hoping to issue. And it makes sense to sequence it when the activity is expected. Because if you action it a little bit in advance, it's like a little bit, we didn't hit the timing right. So we have looked ahead for this season, and we have a lot of budget readiness activity that we are marshaling the agencies through.
So can MOX issue a directive to every agency that budget readiness, that your expectation is that budget readiness is approved by the time of contract registration?
It's something that I want to take back to the technicians and the practitioners, but it's something in concept that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yes.
I think do you have data that you might be able to share with us on how many agencies how many contracts today have been registered but are not approved for budget readiness, or is that something you could get back to us on?
We could certainly follow up with that data.
I think that data would be helpful because it is something, as you know, that we're hearing about, and it just seems a little silly that that this is a pain point for folks and that we should be able to fix it. And we'd love to help support you in that effort. Okay, I think I will, just for the sake of time, try to keep moving things along. On invoicing, so last month, 9 months into the fiscal year, last March, excuse me, at the time of this controller report, 9 months into FY25, 93% of nonprofits had an initial budget approved, but only 54% had an invoice successfully dispersed. And I recognize that if we're effectively providing a 25% advance at the time that the budget is ready, or the advance comes after budget readiness, or is it upon registration? Okay, so after registration, advance comes. But still, if we're looking 9 months into the year and 54% haven't had an invoice processed, that's much longer than it should be, right? It's presumably 3 months later, approximately, you should see invoices start processing on a contract that's had a 25% advance. At 5 agencies, this is last fiscal year, 40% of contracts did not have an invoice dispersed as of March. The health department, I'll keep picking on them, had 646 contracts with an approved budget, but had not paid a single invoice on half of those contracts, 310 contracts to be precise. Citywide, nonprofits had $861 million worth of invoices that were unpaid as of March of last year. I'm really pleased to hear, Director, you speak to kind of this new task force and the focus on trying to ensure that we're not just registering contracts, but that we're getting people paid. And I know that that's been a big priority for Director Cedillo as well. Can you share with us, like, what does the financials of this task force look like? What's the staffing level? How are you measuring kind of goals and objectives? And then I'm, of course, interested if you have updated data points today on how many invoices are unpaid right now, that both the number and the amount of money.
Thank you, Chair, for raising this and being interested in this and highlighting this and using this opportunity. I will be certain in any follow-up hearing that I bring some of the team members, because I think that they would really welcome the visibility.
They're watching.
Yes, yes, I hope that they are. The financial task force, I want to is 6 or 7. Forgive me for not knowing the exact. And they're overseeing not just the nonprofit invoices that are moving through the system in the city of New York, but all of the invoices. So the construction contracts, the goods contracts, professional services contracts. So but of course they focus a great deal amount on the human service agencies and their contracts and their invoices, just because it's so representative of the overall whole. So what they do is they have regular touch points with the agencies, and they are really just reviewing a lot of the data that is in Passport. And I'll say this at the top. Because this task force is new, we certainly have a lot of ideas about what the metrics are, and we are still maturing in our processes. And when you and I spoke a bit, I was sharing, we pulled out some data points that we thought were very effective to share out, but we are still tinkering with it and maybe thinking through like what are the best data points to share that are actionable. And so I look forward to sharing that and working with you as we develop that. So in addition to the people and managing the relationship with the agencies, they also do direct outreach to the nonprofit providers and also all of our providers. They provide training sessions, they provide webinars. So that's first and foremost what we focus on. We focus on being accessible, being people who are subject matter experts, being knowledgeable about how to move something from point A to point B. That's fundamentally what we're doing. But then more than that, they are experts in Passport. They're experts in Passport in how to submit things, how to move things, how to close out things. And they know very much how to navigate the system. And beyond that, We are developing our sort of reporting muscles, like what makes sense to report in real time and what makes sense to report as a look back, and then comparative, a look back from time period to time period. So that's a little bit about the financial task force.
And just on the data, do you know how many invoices today are unpaid and the amount total?
That is something that I'm happy to follow up with you. And actually, if I could riff off Executive Director Cedillo, we were talking previously about how the volume of invoices in the system is actually a healthy thing, because that signifies that a lot of the upfront work that has been done, contract registration, budget readiness, invoiceability, that's all been done. And so that is
In some
yes.
ways, yes.
Yes.
But do you have a target time frame that a human service agency should process an invoice?
I'd have to follow up with you on that, on the target. But I was just past this additional data point. So for fiscal year 2026, only 294 contracts are without invoices. And then the Payment Task Force shares lists of contracts missing budgets weekly. So that's an additional information piece to sort of like share out there and then get the information back to move towards on-time payment.
294 contracts that have been registered this fiscal year that have not yet had an invoice filed.
Right.
But you'll get back to us on the number of invoices that are outstanding that have not yet been processed and the amount of money that's on them. Because
Yes, happy to follow up on that.
I have some hypotheses for why this issue seems to have gotten worse. Because I don't think this was always such a pain point for the nonprofit sector. But is 7 days the right goal? Is 2 weeks the right goal? Is 30 days the right goal? Because the controller's report, again, I'm highlighting this because I thought it was a very good report, found invoicing processing times vary significantly across human service agencies. That DHS and the health department took between 40 and 48 days respectively. The DHS took 48 days, the health department took 40 days to process an invoice. That's a long time. And DHS had almost 500 invoices that had been pending for over 100 days. That's a really long time. ACS processed invoice in average 20 days and only had 11 invoices over 100 days. So there's times where things are complex and require back and forth, and I get that. But that should be sparing, right? It shouldn't be the norm. One agency having 500 invoices that are pending for over 3 months, over 100 days, that's not a good system. So trying to just understand, are we clear with agencies on what the goals are for how quickly they're processing invoices, how we're tracking that information? I know you now have a team of 6 or 7. Your team is looking at this as well. ContractStat, I imagine, is providing this kind of data for you, not in real time, but as you look back for the previous quarter?
Yeah, correct. Thank you, Chair, for mentioning that. It is invoice cycle time overall, and then invoices over 30 days, pending over 30 days, which is not what we want, are two things that we do track. And we have seen decreases in cycle time and increases in the overall amount of invoices this quarter based on the most recent quarter based on the Q2 of FY25. And I will say, as Director, you mentioned, again, not an unhealthy thing. If you think about the total amount that we spend, $16 billion, sometimes $20 billion in human service spend, that you would have almost $1 billion at any point in outstanding invoices, healthy sign. Where it gets to the 100 days plus, that is not the standard that we should be pushing for. I do know anecdotally, I think when we have brought this up to agencies, there are often reasons for that. Like maybe there's a recoupment that they're going back and forth on, and agencies then prioritize invoices that have the most net positive from a cash flow standpoint for providers. But full stop, that is not acceptable, and we do work with agencies to make sure that we're reducing that as much as possible and don't have any that linger that long.
And the data you're referencing, that's tracked in ContractStat?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, correct.
Okay. Do you know how many invoices today are pending for more than 30 days among human services agencies?
Thank you, Chair, for the question. Let's see. I'm not sure if I have that data on hand. But what I can tell you about invoice volume and cycle time is that in FY26 for Q2, we did receive nearly over 1,400 more invoices in FY26 than in FY25 and paid 500 more compared to Q2 of FY25. So those are some of the things that we do track. And we do the cyclical nature, as I mentioned, of invoices over 30 days. We do see a surge of invoices towards the end of a fiscal year. Again, predominantly closeout and recoupment issues. And so hope to not see that spike again at the end of this fiscal year.
All right. I will come back to more invoicing questions, but just since we're talking about contract stat, could you share an overview of what information is captured in contract stat? And I will say, I think you can anticipate what my critique will be, but I do know there were some stops and starts and delays, and so I do want to commend you for getting it off the ground and for it existing, because I think it seems like a really helpful tool, internally, at least at this point. But could you just give us an overview of what's captured, so that we understand what you're looking at?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Chair. I'd be very happy to. So we work with our chief nonprofit officers to try to boil down human service contracting and payment performance to 5 indicators. As you know very well, there are 100 different indicators you could focus on. Trying to get the attention of City Hall, there would just be no way we could focus on 100. So we boiled it down to 5 key indicators, 4 that are quantitative and 1 that is qualitative, to really give agency heads and deputy mayors a sense as to performance. So the first one is contract backlog. So every quarter we do look at what the contract backlog is, and we report on that both to agency leadership, but also chief nonprofit officers. But it's something we also look at every month with them. Jenny Way and our team meets with them to work through that their data and develop plans for the upcoming quarter. The second one we look at is budget modification volume and cycle time. The reason budget modification is such an important indicator for us is, as I'm sure you know by now, when there's an active budget modification in the system, that prevents invoicing from happening. So it's something we really want to focus on reducing in partnership with our chief nonprofit officers. The third one we look at is invoice volume and cycle time. The fourth one is invoices pending over 30 days. And the last one is the provider sentiment score. So the provider sentiment survey, as I mentioned in my testimony, is a survey we send out to our city contracted providers on a quarterly basis, asking them to grade city agencies. And by the way, we also ask them to grade MONs on things like, have they been helpful in solving problems? Are they creative? Do you feel respected by them? And that sentiment we track over time. So those are the 5 indicators that we look at with contract stat.
Okay, that is helpful. I will just say plainly on the record that I think we need to be making tools like this public, and that I understand that internal management and your ability to persuade and cajole agencies to do better, it can be hard when there's a public scrutiny, but ultimately we all should be looking at this data together. We're all stakeholders in this process, and I certainly think it's really important that we push for these tools to be public. So I understand that I want to say that very clearly.
Thank you, Chair.
Just coming back on a few things I wanted to ask about on invoicing. So this new effort to approve partial payments, are we tracking? That seems like a really positive development. Are we tracking how many partial payments have been issued or approved by agencies this year? Has MOX issued guidelines to agencies to ensure that there's as broad adoption as feasible?
So thank you for the question, Chair. To scale out, and to take a step back in time, we heard very loud and clear from the providers that it is a very frustrating thing to get an invoice returned for a penny or a dime, or especially if you've got things on that invoice such as rent that are fixed and approved and not subject to negotiation. They're part of the contract. And so it was actually more than a year ago. It was at the end of 2024, my predecessor issued a MOX directive telling the agencies to do partial payment on invoices. And so we do have some data around the success and the compliance of on that directive. I will share here, it's also our goal to reissue that directive, reissue that directive and also couple it with some expectation setting for recoupment, because healthy accounting requires a variety of activities by different parties. And so, if we're going to advance, we're going to recoup. Well, if the city is going to advance, the city has to recoup also, but the vendors also have to invoice for there to be payment. And it's a give and take because it's a relationship. So to your question about partial payment, we have some information, and I'll share some key observations from the team on it. So it seems as though the partial payment directive is producing results overall with some substantial reductions across several agencies. And it is the financial task force that is pushing the recommendation to reissue this directive. But we do see some unevenness with the implementation. It is in a follow-up, I would love to, share more about like the patterns we're seeing and maybe the data that we're seeing. But I will say that the agencies that we have pulled out to have activity are DHS, ACS, DOHMH, HPD, and MOCJ, which lines up with what you would expect because they are the agencies with nonprofit contracts.
Do you anticipate in releasing an updated directive, you might be able to address some of the unevenness in implementation and hopefully see broader adoption of partial invoicing?
Yes, that would be the goal.
You mentioned the kind of line by line reviews of invoices, and it seems the feedback we get from nonprofits is that different agencies have different practices, and it can, as you know, be really frustrating when there's a minuscule issue on a very large invoice. Appreciate the partial payment, I think, is a broad solution for this. We have heard issues of nonprofits struggling to get reimbursed for the portion of the invoice where there was an issue. And so getting, that has been a recurring challenge that we've heard about. But just wondering, do you all issue guidance around kind of line-by-line reviews of invoices and best practices to try to ensure greater consistency across the board by the fiscal staff at agencies to process these payments in a reasonable way? Is that something that would be helpful? As you think about technical assistance and support, maybe I don't know if that's best practices or if that's technical assistance or how that looks, but is that something that could be of assistance?
Thank you for the question, Chair. I think standardization and managing expectations and being upfront with what is expected are all things to strive towards. I will say that, there are some standard things that govern. Executive Director Cedillo may help me, and there's there's a standard document that governs much of this.
SERP?
Possibly.
For invoice review?
No, the fiscal manual.
Oh, the fiscal manual.
Yes, the fiscal manual. So much of this is outlined in a citywide fiscal manual. But then agencies will sometimes have their own fiscal manuals and their own policies around what they expect from their providers. So there's going to be like a give and take, right? There's going to be some centralization with what MOC sets forward, and then there's going to be some specialization with what the agencies are expecting. But it's something certainly we're open to exploring and happy to take up and follow up.
And if I may add, Chair, I think there's like a philosophical component here as well that I think we teased out in the customer service training I led, where there is this tension that I see at the agency level, at the staff level, between customer service and risk aversion. And this is a real thing that, if I'm a newer staffer or a staffer that is not high on the pecking order at agency and I'm reviewing invoices, and all I've been told is to never show up in the post or never show up in a DOI report or a comptroller audit, which there are active ones now. And in some agencies, their systems and their processes in many ways are reflective of the scrutiny that they have had and previously. And I certainly can now understand and empathize with the line staff's struggle of like, is helping how much can I help, and what is the proper amount of service that I can provide to this customer vis-a-vis my role of being a public steward of funds. So there is that component there, and I think that the extent to which there is not standardization at agencies is a function of the different levels of scrutiny that agencies have had.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I think that I certainly understand the aversion to risk, and when there have been corruption issues or mismanagement issues, that agency leadership can really try hard to do everything in their power to make sure those things don't happen again. And, even I'll give an example of the council itself. I think that, the scandals of the Chris Quinn era in the, discretionary funding led to incredibly burdensome policies that made it almost impossible for nonprofits to access the funds that we dole out, because she was rightly responding to issues of corruption, maybe too strong a word, but issues of funds being placed in, issues. We don't need to go back to a scandal from 2010 or whatever it was. Although Gail probably would enjoy it. I know you were. That's why I said it. So I digress to just make the point of there's always a pendulum that swings, and I get that. I think what we're hoping for is, with your leadership, both of your leadership, that we're giving clear guidance to agencies around, when we're reviewing line by line invoices, that we give all feedback at once on that invoice and identify every potential issue with the invoice, send it back to the nonprofit so they understand what it is, that we're giving clear guidance about utilization of partial payments, that we're trying across the board to improve standardization of processes, so that it's not just a couple agencies doing well and a couple agencies doing really poorly and a bunch in the middle kind of doing meh. It's that we're all doing better. And I think as you're tracking data more centrally, we have eyes on what's working and what isn't working. And hopefully, as I kind of noted in my initial remarks, with leadership and accountability from across the street, and you're all providing the guidance on what technically needs to happen and what are the best practices that we need to adopt, we can start to see improvement across the board at city agencies, which I think, to be charitable, we would say today is uneven. All right, I'm going to shift gears to a couple last topics, and then let you all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I did want to ask about stopgap funding. So, in response to questions from Councilmember Brewer, Director you mentioned increases in the returnable grant fund. I guess there were a couple things I wanted to ask. One, there was a Scott Stringer highlighted this issue probably 5 or 6 years ago, but there's clear language that says if a nonprofit is paying interest on a loan to be able to access funds that they're entitled to by the city, salud, then that interest should be paid by the city. And my understanding is that the city does not pay that interest because the argument is that the nonprofit has access to the returnable grant fund, which is a interest-free option. And since they're not taking that option, they choose to take an option with interest, they are required to pay it themselves. Tell me if I misunderstood anything. That's about right? Okay. So, why would so many nonprofits depend on private loans if the tools we have available are working well and at scale to be able to meet their needs?
Thank you for this, Chair. Also, like a quick reference to something that's happened in the recent past. There was a piece of legislation that was introduced around interest payments for nonprofits.
Yes.
I'm going to resurface that as like a starting point. Also,
Member Brannon?
I believe so. Yes. So let me start with something that's found in the PPB, because that is something that's like foundational setting. And I'm going to read off it. There's a section in the PPB, it's section 412. And it states, quote, "No interest shall be paid if the vendor has been previously offered an interest-free loan in connection with the contract in question, but declined to accept it." So there is a limiting step because it exists in the rules. Whether or not there's opportunity to or reason to revisit that, that's like obviously something that like we would welcome to be in conversation on. And just to scale back again about the things that I spoke about, the things that Executive Director Cedillo spoke about, so many things to try to get at the cash flow issues, the advances, the discretionary grant, all these tactics and things to drive at, when services are rendered, cash should be paid. So it is something that we have not a solution for, and there's no silver bullet. I think interest is something that has been previously introduced. It did not go forward in the prior administration, but I would welcome and follow up having further conversations about this topic.
I guess so. The argument is, just so I understand it, that every nonprofit has access to the returnable grant fund if they needed it, and therefore that's why the city doesn't pay interest. Is that true that we offer every nonprofit access to the returnable grant fund?
So there's some criteria, eligibility criteria that they have to meet, and I spoke about we expanded it recently. And I'm happy to dive into that also. But because that release valve does exist, that is a little bit of like an argument against having the city pay for interest. But again, welcome conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is like, it's $15 billion that we dole out to nonprofits every year. The returnable grant fund approved $66 million in funding. We know that there's significant issues with late contracts and late payments and budget readiness being stuck, and many nonprofits are struggling like hell on cash flow. So, like, why do we not see greater take-up of the returnable grant fund? Is there something that we need to be doing differently to make this a better tool and resource for nonprofits to benefit from?
Thank you, Chair. I'll jump in from my experience. About a little less than a year ago, a number of large providers came to the city to ask for a significant infusion to the returnable grant fund. And there was definitely a misunderstanding from the sector and from these providers in particular that there wasn't enough cash flow in the fund. And so actually the decision was made to add more capital to the fund on a short-term basis. We did that, and it was not fully exhausted. And so I'm not sure why, but I do think that there is a perception in the sector that there's not enough money in the loan fund, and that has not been the case. I have not experienced in my year plus in this role where a provider wanted the funding, got approval, and there wasn't enough funding there. In fact, the experience we had where we added funding, it wasn't exhausted. So I don't know. I do think that we constantly have to make sure folks know it's interest and service free, that it is an option for them. Sometimes I'm aware that folks may get lost in the other priorities within an agency. Mox has very clear guidance on their website that I would encourage folks to follow through. They have a very specific person that you should reach out to at the agency to help process it, because the agency has to approve it, then Mox has to approve it. If you get stuck at the agency level, or maybe a provider has had that experience and so maybe don't want to go through it again, please reach out to either of us, and we're happy to make sure to work with the chief nonprofit officers, because nobody is coming to the city for a loan because things are good, right? It's dire. It needs to happen quickly. And so we're happy to get on it as quickly as possible.
You know, when I worked in the mayor's office, when we reached out to Mox for help in identifying loans for nonprofits that needed it, there was almost, more often than not, a way that we could help. I have every confidence that when people are bringing crises to both of your desks, you're intervening and trying your best. But the broader issue that I'm getting at here is like what I mentioned in my opening remarks, the example of Lisney spending $80,000 a month on interest payments. That's a lot of money for a nonprofit that's pissing away money that should be invested into services for people that desperately need it. Something's not working. Oh, the congressman's calling. This should be invested into services that are desperately needed. we have tools that aren't being taken advantage of at the scale that we would anticipate. So like what is not working? I think we have to ask ourselves that question. I'd be really interested in hearing from nonprofits and maybe working with the Human Services Council and others to get direct feedback on why nonprofits aren't making a choice that would seem so obviously in their financial interest. It must be for pretty good reason, right? Because Lisney doesn't have $1 million sitting around to just, excuse my French, but piss away on interest while they wait for the city to pay them. So I'm just using them as an example, and I don't mean to, I hope I'm not getting anyone in trouble, but that's just my perspective for what it's worth. Okay, I want to just be mindful of time, which is, I did want to ask, because this is something I really want to dig in on further, but I'm going to try and do 3 or 4 very quick ones. Department of Education. Other than, of course, the PEP process that's established in state law, how could we better integrate the Department of Education into the city's standard procurement process? And is that something that you all are thinking about or considering to try to bring some greater accountability to the DOE?
I'll start, Chair, by saying, yeah, thank you for pointing that out. I think it's something that has there's been a lot of thought and ink spilled on that issue of standardization and bringing DOE more into the fold. I do know that a significant portion of their human service contracts, community schools, discretionary contracting is processed in Passport, and it's a process, I think, of continuing to expand that I think, Director, you should chime in on. I will say, our team regularly goes out to different city agencies and works alongside them, both to spread the good word and make sure they're aligned with what we're trying to do, but also to build those relationships. We're very fortunate to have New York City Public Schools' Chief Nonprofit Officer Yasmin Cruz, who's newer to the role from the sector and is really working to wrap her arms around the issue of making sure that DOE is more into the fold of procurement. You're right; they do have different considerations, PEP and other, mixed funding from state and feds. But I think it is something that we're actively working on and leaning on Yasmin to be somebody that offers standardization and cooperation and partnership.
I appreciate that. I think that sounds positive. You know, the mayor held a press conference on the campaign around DOE contracting issues, and I really appreciated him elevating this. We passed legislation yesterday around transparency around early childhood contracting issues, which I also was grateful to the speaker and Councilmember Gutierrez for leading on. It's not, I think, as this hearing reveals, it's not that we're doing a perfect job across the human services sector, but we're doing, I think, a not good job at DOE. And the more that we could have standardization across the board, which I do think is broadly within the purview of the mayor to do, it would be beneficial. I realize there's PEP elements that are separate and distinct, but separate from that endpoint in the process, I think that we would benefit from similar standardization, accountability, transparency that we want to see across the human service sector as a whole. So I hope that will be an area where we can work together, because I think that would be great. Are they included in contract stat?
Thank you, Chair. They are for the portion of contracts that are subject to Passport. And then, of course, in our regular meetings with Yasmin, we go through that data. And they're also part of the provider sentiment survey that we track as well.
Okay.
And Chair, before we move on from this topic, I just
Please.
want to just sort of level set, as you mentioned at the top of the hearing. MOX does provide some services to public school. As I mentioned, we certainly review and process loan applications when they're seeking loans from the RGF. We also have a limited set of contracts in Passport, but that was done on a program by program ad hoc basis in prior administrations through agreement, because taking a sort of a deeper look, the legal construct for the New York City Public School is they are not a mayoral agency and they're a creature of the state. So that legal framework complicates how much MOX can provide oversight into their contracting and their operations. So I just want to be clear that while we do have subsets of public school education contracts, we do not broad scale, comprehensively have oversight over public school. But we are seeing more and more collaboration and interaction as a result of the public school request for information for 2K program. They are leveraging some Passport functionality as childcare providers are leveraging Passport to be able to come into the city of New York and avail themselves of contracting opportunities.
That's great. I think that and this kind of segues to the next topic. My sense was that the primary driving factor in why Sheltering Arms had to close was because of their contracting disaster with the Department of Education. And so I am concerned just about the feedback we get from early childhood providers in particular is awful about their experiences with the DOE and timelines that would make DHS or the health department blush. So we got to. I'm very eager to figure out ways that we can do better and hold them accountable. And so that is segue into organizations in distress. We're seeing significant federal cuts that are impacting our nonprofit partners. How do we prevent another Sheltering Arms from happening? Any kind of elevated support that you can provide to organizations that are in financial distress that we should just be making sure nonprofits know is available to them if they're struggling on cash flow issues or facing other challenges?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think that the interventions that we've discussed today, particularly the 50% advance, which you now have codified into law, those kind of things offer real stability up front to our providers that hopefully would prevent something like that happening in the future. I also think that there's an opportunity to think about the quarterly payment process as another predictable way in which we can pilot and see if that works. I can tell you anecdotally, we have a 31-member advisory council of nonprofit leaders, many of them of whom are here today. And those that have those quarterly payment contracts with the state really talk about how that level of predictability allows them to focus their energy and strategy not on how do I get paid, but on how to increase the quality of the services. And so I think with the amount of initiatives, including a continue to expand the discretionary grant pilot, hopefully we'll be able to avoid those situations. But also with the data that we're tracking with the Financial Task Force and contracts that we will be able to, I think, see those in advance and not be surprised by those kinds of issues.
Okay, that's helpful. Director Yu, you testified today to the improvements in Passport that I believe are taking effect this fall. $7+ million is in the budget this year. Could you just share an update on, like, from the provider standpoint, what functionality improvements do you think they should be able to expect 6 months from now?
Thank you for the question, Chair. I would welcome that, and thank you for opening this up and circling back to this. I'll work backwards. Our expected delivery for the Passport enhancements is October of this calendar year, so October 2026. And what we hope will impact not just the nonprofits, but all of the vendors that do business with the City of New York is around invoicing, around current state. For a variety of reasons, when Passport was designed, the financial component of Passport, there is what we call a lock and key effect, where, as I spoke about earlier, in order to have an invoice able to be paid, we work backwards. A budget needs to be approved and a budget needs to be submitted. At times when those steps are in process, the system will lock so that there is a sequencing of that activity versus a simultaneous parallel activity that is possible. So that's current state. The future state that we hope to have on by November 2026 is that So if your vendor, nonprofit Cedillo, if you submit your invoice just because you have a change to your budget, a budget modification in, that doesn't prevent you from submitting your invoice. You're still able to submit your invoice, and the agency is still able to be paid even with that budget modification in the queue. And I know that's very technical, but I'm happy to do a follow-up.
That's helpful.
Okay.
And are you planning to do briefings for providers? Just so-
Absolutely.
Great.
Yes.
I think those address some of the issues we've heard most complaints about. So that sounds very promising, and eager to learn more and go into greater detail in the near future. I had two final questions. One is if we could just get an update on the document vault legislation that we passed, Local Law 31 of 2024. This was Councilmember Wan's bill. I don't know if she's still hanging out with us online. She's probably got better things to do. But no, I mean, I can't think of a better thing to do, but maybe she can. It required the creation of a document vault. Idea was that different agencies could access the document that a nonprofit was uploading, so that you didn't have to do it 25 times for 25 different contracts, all at DYCD, or have every different agency, or if you have contracts at multiple different agencies. My understanding was that this was a feature that existed in the HHS Accelerator days. Do you have a timeline for when Passport will be updated to incorporate this feature?
So thank you for asking this question, Chair. I'm pleased to be able to share that Passport does have this feature now.
Great.
We turned it on, I want to say, fall of last year. I'm subject to check. The team can fact check me, but this is up and running.
Great.
Yes.
I have not heard the celebrations yet, but I'm sure they're coming. Last question, I just wanted to ask about one of Councilmember Stevens' bills. Does Mox or Mons, or maybe somebody else, track data on the gap between wages for human services workers at nonprofits versus folks at city agencies and comparable titles, or folks doing comparable work? Like, is there an ability, do we have a mechanism, or do we have a window into understanding those differences in compensation?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question, Chair. It's a really excellent question. I'm aware of studies that have been externally done on this issue. I've looked into those, and I can just tell you it's a very hard question to answer. Personally, my wife was a community school director for Henry Street Settlement. There is no equivalent to a community school director within city government. That's a really hard thing to really sort of point to. I think the fundamental thing here is that with our human services spend, we create a specific marketplace that is unique to the services that we're funding. And so oftentimes there aren't equivalents. I think oftentimes I hear a connection to social workers internally and externally. That might be an easier one, but I think across the board, it's a very hard question to answer.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think there's some city-operated shelters, right? How are we compensating workers there versus at nonprofit-operated shelters? I think there's some comparisons. I saw a report too that had a data point of that city workers are paid 30% more, and it's, in many other contrasts between public sector and private sector, the private sector is paid more, but we have better benefits. In this instance, we have better benefits and are paid more in the public sector than what folks experience in the nonprofit sector overwhelmingly. I don't want to make every organization is different, but, and that's just based on what we compensate in the contracts. It's not, in many respects, for many human service organizations around the city, we're their number one funder, and what we are willing to fund in those contracts, the wage levels, et cetera, informs what they can pay somebody. So I think her legislation is creative, but I think that we have to look at every different approach that we can to try to lift wages up in this sector. And, we've seen retention issues across city government in recent years. We've also seen in the human services sector, if we pay people fairly for their work, we're much more likely to be able to hold on to them. And when nonprofits are staffed fully, they're able to execute on their work, which provide essential services to the people we're all aiming to serve. So I hope that we can find some creative ways to lift up wages. That will be something we focus on further in this committee. But I just want to thank you both for spending a few hours with us and answering so many questions. I could have kept going, but Molly told me that I shouldn't. So I want to thank you both. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Our first panel will be folks from the Fund for the City of New York, who I'm really glad are able to join us. Andrew Walren, Jill Barrero, and Aldrin Bonilla. I invite you all to come up as they get a chance to clear away their papers. Oh, I have to read something. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to read this fast. I'm just obligated to do it. I now open the hearing for public testimony. I remind members of the public this is a formal government proceeding and decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant of Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant of Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant of Arms. You may also email written testimony to council@nyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. I will now call up the first panel, which I have already done, and I want to thank you all for being ready for us and appreciate the fund for being here today. Jill, nice to see you, and thank you all. Really appreciate it, and appreciate the written testimony. No, that's fine. You feel free to go in whichever order you'd like, or if one of you would like to testify for the group, whatever you prefer.
Yes. Okay.
Nice to see you.
Great to see you too, Chairman Ressler. Good morning. My name is Andrew Walren, Vice President of Loan Programs at the Fund for the City of New York. I am joined today by my colleague, Dr. Aldrin Bonilla, Executive Vice President, and Jill Barrero, our Chief Operating Officer at the Fund. Thank you, Chairman Ressler and members of the Committee on Contracts for convening this hearing and your continued focus on strengthening the city's contracting process. New York City relies on nonprofits to deliver over $16 billion in essential services each year. Shelter and housing, childcare, youth programs, elder services, workforce development, and more. These organizations are not peripheral partners. They are central to how cities functions and how our neighborhood remains strong. Yet many of these organizations are required to begin work on day one of a contract, hiring staff, leasing spaces, purchasing supplies, and meeting payroll, while months for contract registration and payment. For large institutions with significant reserve, this delay is burdensome. For community-based nonprofits, it can be destabilizing. Leadership teams spend valuable time managing cash flows instead of serving New Yorkers. Staff morale suffers. Organizations take on debt, often at high cost, simply to bridge gap that they did not create. The fund understands this challenge from two perspectives. First, we experience it ourselves. Through our Partner Projects program, we currently work with 33 projects that hold government contracts, ranging from small city council discretionary awards to multi-million-dollar agency agreements. In the past year alone, because of delayed registration and payments, the fund has had to advance between $2 million to $4 million in any given month to cover reimbursable expenses that have not yet been paid for governmental agencies. Second, and more broadly, we see this issue every day through our bridge financing programs. The fund was created in 1968 to improve government and nonprofit effectiveness. By 1976, nearly 50 years ago, the city's payment delays had already created enough strain that we launched our first loan program to support nonprofits waiting for reimbursement. Since then, we have made more than 18,000 loans totaling $1.87 billion, with a default rate of just 1/4% from the onset. In 1976, we choose not to charge interest, but because nonprofits do not have revenue streams to absorb financing costs, that decision alone has saved organizations millions of dollars. Last year, we made 396 loans totaling $115 million to 250 organizations. These nonprofits held contracts across 15 city agencies and numerous state and federal entities. The demand for bridge financing has been constant. When contract delays became more pronounced in the early 1990s, particularly affecting youth employment programs, we worked with the Dinkins administration and city agencies to create the Returnable Grant Fund. In 1992, it began as a $4 million pool to advance funds to nonprofits before their contracts were registered. Today, that pool stands at $94 million since inception. New York, the Returnable Grant Fund alone has provided approximately $1.43 billion in no-cost advances to nonprofit providers. Over the years, when the city has faced moments of expansion or crisis, the fund has stepped forward. In 2012, during the rollout of the Early Learn program, childcare providers was facing months without payment. At the city's request, we privately raised $20 million and provided $25.5 million in bridge loans to stabilize those agencies. At the start of FY16, when the mayor's pre-K initiative required rapid citywide expansion, we mobilized $35 million in private capital to help stand up thousands of new childcare slots. We then extended that line of credit through FY 2020. During the same period, we supported the implementation of new DHS shelter sites, ensuring providers could launch operations without delays. In each case, our goal was the same: ensure that families, children, and vulnerable New Yorkers did not experience service interruptions because of administrative lag. Most recently, when the city faced new payment delays during the transition to Passport, we worked with MOX to expand RGF eligibility criteria so that nonprofits could access loans whether their contracts were unregistered or already registered but still unpaid. Through the Returnable Grant Fund, our loans are zero interest, zero fees, and we process that in 1 to 2 business days. That urgency means stability for nonprofits as it keeps staff on payroll, keeps doors open, and keeps critical services operating in communities across New York City. With that in mind, we respectfully offer our support as the city advances new mayoral and council initiatives. The fund is ready to mobilize quickly to help organizations manage cash flow as they launch and scale services. We have the capacity and bandwidth to expand lending to both new and existing providers, and with our rapid processing time, we can help hundreds of vendors get up and running to meet the city's most urgent needs with innovative, community-rooted solutions. We also want to offer our support operationally through training of ACOs, their teams, so eligible nonprofits are consistently referred to the Returnable Grant Fund program when it makes sense. And we welcome a deeper conversation about making access even more seamless. For example, automatically offering every eligible nonprofit a cash flow loan as part of the contracting process, so support is built in from the start, not discovered in a moments of crisis. We are proud of the partnership with the city, but we must also be clear. Bridge financing is a safety net, not a structural solution. Nonprofits should not have to rely on loans, even interest-free loans, to compensate for delays in government processes. The most sustainable reform is shortening the time between contract start, registration, and payment. In closing, our commitment to the city is unwavering. For decades, we have stood beside nonprofits, providers to ensure they can meet payroll, pay rent, retain staff. Even when payments are delayed, we'll continue to do so. But together, we can build a system where nonprofits spend less time managing cash flow crises and more time delivering the services that New Yorkers depend on. We look forward to working with the council, city agencies, and MOX to strengthen the contracting and payment process so that our nonprofit providers and the communities they serve can thrive. We thank you for this time.
That's great. I really appreciate the thoughtful testimony and really appreciate you being here, and even more appreciate how much the Fund for the City of New York does to stabilize nonprofits in need. It's critically important work, and I don't want to think about where we would be as a city if we didn't have the fund stepping in and stabilizing hundreds of organizations every single year. A few questions. Just one on your suggestion in your testimony toward the conclusion about incorporating or offering every eligible nonprofit a cash flow loan as part of the contracting process built in from the start. Any more that you'd like to share on that idea? And conceivably, that could require us to come up with many, many, many billions of dollars. But tell me if I'm not thinking about this the right way.
I'll start and then please jump in, my colleagues. This is essentially an idea, right? So we have limited view into the city's contracting process. So when we receive loan requests, it's from Mox directly, and that's when we process them. We are, looking to talk with our loan recipients and to see where those pain points are, how they knew about the loan program. Did the ACOs, inform them of it? Or are they just aware of it through the, word of mouth, or what that looks like? What we're afraid of is that only groups kind of in the know about the loan program. And we are thinking through ways of how can we make this more accessible to all nonprofits, especially the smaller nonprofits and nonprofits that might be out in the boroughs that might not have the access that the larger nonprofits do, or groups that have already used our services. As Director, you mentioned, we have had a number of new groups come on this year, which is really exciting. But just thinking through ways of being able to make it more equitable. Did you want to add on to that?
We know the universe of nonprofits who are aware of the returnable loan grant, and we also, by virtue of knowing who's aware and who's been using it in terms of utilization, who has not. So maybe a nudge or a special targeted effort to those who haven't, and particularly those smaller community-based organizations, grassroots nonprofits, that which the payment delays have a more debilitating effect on meeting payroll and staying open as an organization.
I will say that I think, as I've just been digging into this topic for a few weeks now, it's debilitating for large organizations too. I mean, I think this is a debilitating issue across the board, from the neighborhood nonprofit to the citywide, organization with tens of millions of dollars in city contracts. This may be a better question for Mox, since I think Jill already kind of spoke to this, in that you are engaging nonprofits when Mox makes a referral, essentially. But why do you think, considering the level of need that's out there and the challenges that nonprofits are facing with delayed payments, that more nonprofits are not being, I guess, sent to the fund for assistance? And if you can say that you don't have that, you can feel free to punt if that's not a fair question for you.
It is, Chairman, it's a interesting, and I believe Executive Director Cedillo said it, because we know that the word is out there. I do realize that the ACOs have been trained and informed of the Returnable Grant Fund. Where is that disconnect is still a question.
Yeah. I mean, have you, just the same question I asked to Director Cedillo and Director Yu a moment ago, of why do we think so many nonprofits are pursuing private loans when these opportunities are available? Any ideas there?
From a couple of my conversations with organizations, it would also be a matter of timing. If they have a payroll that is the following week, and they already have a relationship with their bank where they can instantly switch that mechanism to get those funds, they're going to, regardless of the cost, then they're going to apply for that loan.
Got it. Okay.
It also depends, because we have a menu of different loan services,
Right.
not just a returnable loan grant, but
Bridge loan, too.
we have bridge loan, we have capital
Right.
finance. So sometimes the private market lines of credits might be for capital projects, which we have less of a bandwidth to finance the larger amounts of capital projects. So that might be an example. But, for organizations and nonprofits that come to us, we do a lot of triage. So sometimes because it's a combination of federal, state, and city.
Right.
So sometimes they come to us and there might be state delays, and we say, okay, well, we don't have necessarily as many articulation agreements with the state, but do you have any city ones? And we proactively try to see if we could bridge against that. For the cultural arts and the theaters, we've even gone as far in terms of other menu of services to do loans against potential box office sales for productions that may be coming up. We've done for nonprofits, and it gets, we try to be innovative, nimble, and creative, but we've even done against transfer development rights that nonprofits may have with developers for affordable housing and other things, and they would request a loan against transfer development rights, which has a longer runway of being able to see repayments. And then we also have the tranche for capital cultural arts organizations who may need to purchase vans or vehicles or replace a roof or elevator or HVAC system and have, let's say, borough president capital dollars that are reimbursable drawdown, or city council, but have gone multiple years without being able to have a capital campaign to make that happen. So we offer that services and loans against that as well. So we have a different, menu of services that we try to triage.
Right. I think one of the things that you may have heard that I'm committed to us trying to figure out together is how we bring more transparency to where delays in the system are happening, and have that be more public facing, so that we can collectively understand and see where the problems are and help make some of those connections between providers that are in need and the fund. And just appreciate the role you all play in trying to help stabilize and support the sector. I am interested in engaging providers more in why they may be seeking out funding in other financing or loans in other places, and would love to be in conversation with you all to share that feedback, to see if there are ways that you all might, I think you're already an agile group, but how you could be even more agile to help respond to those needs or to that feedback, to just make sure that we're filling the gaps as effectively as possible. Good. Well, I want to thank the three of you for being here today. Andrew, Jill, Aldrin, thank you for your time and for your expertise, but much more importantly, thank you for the work you do to support the nonprofit sector across the city.
Thank you so
very much. Okay, we are going to shift to the next set of panels, which I'm very excited to call up. We will invite Michelle Jackson from the Human Services Council, Gregory Morris from the New York City Employment and Training Coalition, Kristen Miller from HSU. I don't believe Shinny is here, but somebody can shout at me if they didn't fill out a form and they're here. Okay. Or did they not call themselves Shinny anymore? Okay. All right. All right. The network. I knew there was something. Sorry, I'm not making any comments on the record about names. And we'll invite, since we have 5 chairs, United Neighborhood Houses and UJA Federation, Kate Connolly from UNH, and Faith Behum, and forgive me if I'm messing up anybody's name, from UJA Federation of New York, to join this panel as well. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll invite you to go in whichever order you all are so inspired. Maybe we'll go this way, across the board.
Make sure it's close enough. All right. Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Ressler, Councilmember Brewer, and Councilmember Stevens. What a dream team to have before us today, honestly. And also really congratulations to you, Councilmember Ressler. We're so happy to have you in a long line of really rambunctious and fierce advocates in the Contracts Committee. You fit right in, and you've obviously been a long-time champion of this work, too.
I will tell you that when I was, I think, 19 years old, my sister made me a T-shirt where she wrote the word rambunctious onto the shirt. So I'm glad you used that one.
Well,
I've been this way for a long time.
Nice. And by the way, you'll also be getting a No Procurement, No Peace t-shirt, which is also a tradition of this committee. So that will be coming to you shortly.
We should restart the clock. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
But
of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So my staff, of course, wrote a really great testimony, and I'm not going to give that. You have that written beautifully. I'm going to kind of give a bigger state of the sector. And first, I just wanted to say, I think Councilmember Ressler, you covered most of our points in your opening. Thank you for that. I will kind of set the stage because I think late payments can become this very technocratic conversation to just say late payments to providers are not an accounting hiccup. When reimbursement lags for months or even years, providers cannot surge staff, they cannot extend hours or respond to crises with the speed that emergencies really demand. We become reactive instead of ready, and we really do see the consequences of that on a daily basis, most recently with SNAP benefits when they were delayed. Families who rely on food assistance faced empty cupboards and crowded pantries. Caseworkers worked late. Outreach teams improvised. Community kitchens stretched portions thinner than dignity allows. But Goodwill does not pay that overtime. These delays ripple outward. Providers could not take loans to buy food because their loans were extended by the city of New York, owing them millions of dollars. The people who feel these late payments first are New Yorkers who are already living close to the edge. And when the city's payments arrive late, emergencies unfortunately arrive even earlier for the sector and the people in need of our services. I think that's important because it's not just saying like late payments create paperwork and headaches. There's a real, we've seen even with snow and the cold snap and those issues, when providers don't have the resources at the ready, that's what lines of credit should be used for. That's what reserve should be used for, not to kind of wade through months or years of city bureaucracy. And I will say, to how this conversation has gone today, we are really grateful for Mox and Mons and the work that they've really done on clearing up the backlog, on being committed partners, on having better data, and really grateful to the work of the City Council last year to really bring attention to that and pass a series of bills and just bring public attention onto that. And I would say on the late payment issues, what we'd really like to see going forward is building off that work. We do need established timeframes that are not just codifying the status quo. We would love to see interest penalties, continued oversight by the council, and appropriate funding of Mox, all things that you brought up today. And just in support of Intro 452, if I may, really quickly, nonprofit workers make 30% less than government workers for doing the same job. Yes, there are titles that don't translate, but overwhelmingly these titles are the same. When government contracts with nonprofits, they set salaries on most of those contracts when they set rates, and we have contracts that we can share with you where they think a social worker should get paid $45,000 or $50,000, and that's what they built into the budget. We have providers who within the contracted budget ask to pay workers more. So they're not asking for more money. They figure it out themselves. Those budgets have been kicked back to them and told you cannot pay more using city dollars, even if you're not using more city dollars. So this Intro 452 is really the next iteration of the Just Pay campaign, COLAs, and thank you to the council and Council Ressler for your early championship of the City COLA and the Just Pay campaign. This is the next iteration to say the COLAs were absolutely vital, but to achieve real wage equity, we need to be paying equitable wages. And the city has 80,000 human services workers that they're underpaying by 20 to 30%. So we're, wanted to testify absolutely in support of that bill as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your tremendous advocacy. The HSC reports were a great help to both Molly and me in advance of this hearing, and appreciated the partnership with you and your team and look forward to working more together.
Thank you.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Kristen Miller, and I'm Executive Director of Homeless Services United, representing the nonprofits running shelters and homeless service organizations, a member of HSU. I concur with everything Michelle has said, but I'm here to talk about the perspective from, as was noted earlier, the agency that is there to meet the demands of the moment. Our contracts are large, complex, multi-year, right? So we make all of the lists we don't want to make when it comes to contracting and payments. I have been talking about this for a couple of years before this committee and other council members, and I'm really grateful for today's hearing. I am seeing such a great understanding of how we get paid, right? It is very, very complex. So much of what I wrote in the testimony that we've submitted has been talked about. I just want to call out a few things. One is our organizations are experiencing improved payments for FY26, but there is still an incredible amount of backlog. We surveyed some of our members, and just a dozen of our members are owed $73 million in outstanding payments for work already completed. One thing that I think is a nuance that is very tricky to pin down here, Passport can tell us, and the tracking can tell us, the time that it takes from when an invoice is submitted to payment. What it doesn't track is the days, months, weeks that organizations spend trying to get that invoice approved so it gets into Passport. So a lot of the issues are we don't know what we don't know, right? Because it's not documented anywhere. And that is our struggle. Our struggle is, like the many things that have been talked about, the need for standardization, that we're grateful that Mons and Mox are working on, but there's more work to be done. Last thing I want to say, or two things. We are grateful for the quarterly pilot program. I think it's really going to help with our cash flow. The I can never say that, returnable grant fund, our members have attempted to do. It's a lot of work for relatively little money in the size of our contracts. Plus, many of my organizations have multiple contracts with DHS and other organizations. You must submit an application for each contract, right? So if you're owed $40 million, that's a lot of paperwork. And of course, we are in support of the legislation for wage equity and look forward to more conversations on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really helpful.
Thanks so much, Chair Ressler. You've given me, I'm the current CEO of the New York City Employment and Training Coalition, so I obviously have a lot to live up to. Let me just say, I want to give a quick shout out to Director Cedillo and Director Yu. I consider them colleagues and champions for the sector. This is not easy work, and their teams work extraordinarily hard, and I've appreciated their partnership. Just a couple quick notes. Testimony's been submitted, and I would be covering ground already covered. So just a couple quick notes. I think just because I'm very concerned about language in some cases, that we mean what we say. We use the word bottleneck often. If we're talking about billions of dollars, we probably should just focus on systems change. I think the other piece is your questions related to budget asks are related to the agencies is absolutely critical and interesting. One thing we underestimate is the amount of time and effort that are on the nonprofits to work with agencies, because the nonprofits have not been resourced to be able to support and catch up on these backlogs. And I just want to highlight that. And I think there's some larger conversation here about how we throw around the word loan, because this is work that has been completed. So is this really a loan that we're talking about, or we're talking about something else that we're covering for the city? Listen, I heard Director Yu say the word stabilization was step one. I would argue we're not stable right now, but in all honesty, it's structural wage equity and procurement reliability that has to be our focus. And workforce providers are not interchangeable vendors. They're the operating infrastructure of economic mobility in our city. And specifically to the workforce development space, you know this very, very well. If providers have to borrow to make payroll and program launches are delayed, staff turnover rises, and the relationships with employers, who are the ones who have to hire new workers and all our great talent, are weakened. That's not administrative friction. I would call that a structural drag on performance. A modern workforce system requires dynamism. Providers must respond quickly to employer demand, launch sector-based training aligned with labor market shifts, and invest in data systems and scale models that work. Procurement uncertainty suppresses that dynamism, and contracting reform alone is not, but contracting reform alone is insufficient. Just a last note. The deepest contradiction in our system is the individuals who are responsible for helping folks find good wages, career coaches, case managers, job developers, are they themselves in the not-for-profit sector fighting to live in this city, which is increasingly unaffordable. You know that well, and I look forward to working with you to champion wage equity, procurement reform, contracting, investment.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for that great testimony. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Kate Connolly, and I'm a senior policy analyst for United Neighborhood Houses, an umbrella organization that represents settlement houses across the state. First, I really want to say thank you for prioritizing this hearing so early in the year. It's really wonderful to see City Council prioritizing late payments to nonprofits and making sure that this is seen as a priority of this session. We'll submit more detailed testimony, but I have a couple points to make today. And in a very hopeful note, some of our members have reported seeing more timely payments in recent months. We appreciate the work of Mox and Mons pushing for this. We think across the board there's been a big focus on it. Unfortunately, the contract registration process is still seeing very severe delays. And in fact, it's been especially noticeable when an amendment is required to add funding to a contract, like for the COLAs and the Workforce Enhancement Initiative. These funds are vital to ensure that human service workers receive pay increases, and providers need to receive these funds in a timely manner to provide increases to the workers. But when these contract amendments are delayed, then they are delayed to give the money to the workers. And we know City Council has been a very big supporter of COLAs and workforce enhancement initiatives, and so just wanted to flag that this has been a really, really big issue. We really urge the city to take a look at this process in particular and prioritize amendment registration. Additionally, I'd like to share support for Councilmember Stevens' bill, Intro 452. It might be an onerous process to establish wage requirements, but it's a really big need to address equitable pay in the human services sector. The dynamic of asking nonprofit providers to do more with less has pushed our sector to a real breaking point, and our workforce has suffered the consequences. But to ensure that the bill has its intended effect, we hope the council will commit to 2 items. One is working with the administration to ensure sufficient funding and prevent an unfunded mandate. And then 2, to work with state counterparts to engage in a similar process for state-funded human service contracts to prevent potential equity issues for programs with blended funding. Thank you.
Ongoing issue, one that we always have to think through. But welcome back to the council. Thank you for the thoughtful testimony.
Thank you, Chairperson Ressler and members of the Committees on Contracts for holding this oversight hearing and the opportunity to testify. My name's Faith Bayham. I'm a manager of government and external relations at UJA Federation of New York. UJA supports an expansive network of nearly 100 nonprofit organizations serving the most vulnerable and allocates nearly $200 million annually to our nonprofit partners in New York City, Westchester, and Long Island. Our partners provide city-funded human services to children, youth, adults, and older adults in every borough of New York City. I actually testified at the April 2025 contracting hearing, and I think I sat right next to Kate at that one as well. So when we heard that this late payment hearing was taking place, I reached out to our network of nonprofits and just simply asked them, which I kind of knew already, but I wanted an updated status on payments. Anything improved? Is anything the same? And this is just some samples of what the nonprofits who responded said. Our nonprofits said they were thankful for the advances they received on their contracts over the summer. This did help with cash flow issues. Many nonprofits did use the advances to cover costs related to payments they were waiting for on a number of city contracts. Unfortunately, that cash flow tightened when the advances were recouped. So advances were looked at as a Band-Aid mainly. As soon as they were recouped, the same payment issues plagued nonprofits. Across the board, every person I heard from mentioned discretionary contracts, and they're just a major pain point. We have one agency stating that they're waiting to be compensated $1.6 million on their discretionary contracts. Nonprofits mentioned in particular overly complicated budget and work scope processes. This was something we talked about in our April testimony as well. We saw this particularly with DYCD contracts, with providers saying it is just an overly complicated way to work the grant process. You struggle with non-discretionary contracts too. So in particular, summer rising contracts were mentioned, with providers having to wait months after the work is completed to receive payment. And DIFTA is another one where only receiving one invoice at a time, I was going to say bottleneck, but it really slows down payment for providers. So we just thank you for this opportunity, and we really look forward to working with the council and the administration on improving the contracting process.
Yeah, I really appreciate you all testifying, and thank you all and kind of as representatives of umbrella entities. We're really hopeful that we're going to be able to make significant progress on streamlining a lot of the council discretionary process over the next fiscal year. That should free up capacity in these offices, in these agencies, to be able to get the mayoral funded contracts done a lot more efficiently. We know that for both city agency staff and for nonprofits, the amount of time and effort they put into $5,000 grants versus $500,000 grants is not as different as you might think. And so we're hopeful that that's going to be a change that we can make on our side in partnership with Mox and Mons, and credit to them for really driving and leading on this, that should have benefits across the system. But, just want to underscore as, the new chair of this committee, eager to have a close working relationship with you all and with the sector, and welcome your guidance and insight so that we can try to be the best partners that we can here in the council. So thank you all for joining us today. Okay, we're going to shift to legal services. Lauren Siciliano from the Legal Aid Society, who might give us some DOE advice too. Greg Clem from LISNY, Emily Ward from NILAG, and Carrie Ann Pauls from Take Root Justice. And apologize for any names that I butcher. Feel free to go in whichever order you'd like. Thanks so much.
Great. Well, good afternoon, Chair
Nice to see you.
Ressler. It's a pleasure to see you, and we want to really thank the council for having this hearing, and echo a lot of the points that others have made, as well as thanks to Executive Director Cedillo and Director Yu for their support. So my name is Lauren Siciliano. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Legal Aid Society, and along with my colleagues, we are part of a coalition of public defender and civil legal services nonprofits. We provide constitutionally and legally mandated services to hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers each year, and we defend people against incarceration, deportation, eviction. We are a lifeline for New Yorkers in need. The services we provide heavily rely on city initiatives and contracts, and despite previous efforts, chronic underfunding and mounting contracts and payment delays really jeopardize our ability to operate and provide those essential services for the New Yorkers who need us most. Nonprofits like us start at an extraordinary disadvantage. Not only are our wages lower than those of our government counterparts, as you've heard today, especially in experienced positions, just as critically, our staff do not benefit from a government pension. And while city agencies start the year with their funding and routinely receive additional allocations for new collective bargaining agreements, healthcare cost increases, utility and space costs, we do not. We're constantly waiting for our funding to be confirmed or for payment for work that has been completed. The systemic contracting and payment delays just exacerbate all of these fundamental issues at every point in the process, from registration to funding confirmation and budget review to invoice payment. When nonprofits like us are not paid on time, we make what is in effect an interest-free loan to the city, and that is not sustainable. And so we're here today to highlight just a few of the really critical examples of how these delays endanger our ability to make payroll for our staff, to pay experts for our cases, to pay our rent, and fundamentally continue doing this work. And we want to thank the council for their focus on this issue.
Good afternoon, Chair Ressler, council members, and staff. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today and for holding this very important hearing. My name is Emily Ward, and I'm the Director of Institutional Giving and Government Relations at the New York Legal Assistance Group. As we're talking about, challenges related to timely payments on our contracts continue to plague nonprofits and legal services providers. NILAG specifically is owed nearly $12 million across all of our city contracts for work done in FY25 as well as work to date in FY26. Late payments effectively cut our grants as we incur costs related to loans and fees just in order to stay afloat. Delays at every stage of the process create major issues for us. This includes late contract registration, as well as unnecessarily cumbersome and changing processes for budget approvals and modifications, invoice submission and review. We believe additional steps must be taken to mitigate the challenges at each of these stages that leads to payments being late. Specifically in regards to registration, even once an award is made or a contract extension is approved, it can take months to get a contract registered. Workflow and processes can differ from agency to agency, creating confusion and a high administrative burden. Even while we have experienced more timely registration recently, delays remain and it continues to impact our organizations. In particular, I just want to raise one award we're waiting for to be announced for the Immigrant Opportunities Initiative. It's an award a lot of us have, and it's scheduled to start July 1st for FY27, and awards still haven't been made. So we're hoping that either those awards are made expeditiously or we're issued extensions for our current contracts as time ticks down this fiscal year. Despite our limited resources, we continue to devote massive efforts towards dealing with what should be routine and straightforward contracting and invoicing. And we look forward to continue to working with the council and our partners at Mox and Mons and other agencies to address these issues. And again, thank you for your time today.
Good afternoon, Chair Ressler. Nice to see you in person. Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Greg Clem. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Legal Services NYC, otherwise known as LISNY. Thank you for the multiple shout outs today. I appreciate it. I'll be speaking about the delays in budget approvals and budget readiness, as well as invoice processing. So for the second year in a row, despite more timely contract registration. So Director Yu, I appreciate her underscoring that. That's definitely correct. HRA still has not approved budgets for all of the baseline housing and immigration contracts more than 6 months into the fiscal year. So it was mentioned earlier in the hearing that it seems crazy to start reviewing budgets when the contract is registered. In our case, those budgets weren't reviewed until about 4 to 6 months after the contract was registered. These delays are especially harmful for smaller providers The Urban Justice Center, which subcontracts with many smaller legal service providers throughout the city, is still waiting for the anti-harassment tenant protection budget review to be completed. When talking about cash and budget impact, the Legal Aid Society is waiting on $16 million in fiscal year 25 payments and $15 million in fiscal year 26, much of it related to delayed budget approvals. At my organization, LISNY, we're waiting on nearly $30 million across fiscal years 25 and 26. This is more than 20% of our annual budget. My colleague next to me from Take Root Justice is waiting on $2 million between fiscal year 25 and 26, also about 20% of their total budget. No organization can sustain delays of this magnitude for very long. I'll finish up quickly here. Regarding invoice reviews, Legal Aid currently has 30 outstanding invoices and has been told by OCJ that only 5 per week can be processed. This is a backlog that will take at least 6 weeks to clear. And our understanding is a lot of it is related to staffing. Masha Gindler is, I think has been said, very capable and has been, at least in my experience, responsive, but she only has 2 contract managers for all the legal service providers across the city. So that's something that doesn't seem sustainable. And as you mentioned, Chair, these delays create real financial costs. LISNY incurred $475,000 in interest expense in 2025 and is currently incurring interest, as you mentioned, $80,000 per month. So that's over $600,000 over the last 14 months. We would much rather use that money to hire more attorneys and paralegals to provide services to New Yorkers rather than fund the banks. So thank you again for this opportunity to testify. I'll now turn it over to my colleague from Take Root.
Hi, good afternoon, and yes, thank you so much, Chair Ressler, for calling this hearing. My name is Carrie Ann Pauls, and I'm the Interim Executive Director at Take Root Justice. Nice to see you in person after our call last week. I am here to close out for our panel and just come to you with some of our recommendations, and many of these were stated in your opening remarks. Some of them were in the beginning stages as stated by Mox and Mons. And so I just really appreciate, and we feel seen and we feel heard in this and are really ready to get to solutions. So some of these very immediate actions that we are calling for are particularly around contracts with HRA. We need approval of our outstanding fiscal year 26 contract budgets, expedited payments for all pending invoices and subsequent FY26 invoice submissions, and payment of outstanding FY25 closeout invoices. As you heard, there are dozens still pending from fiscal year 25. And like I said, HRA, we're spotlighting them, and this also spreads across various city agencies. We're asking in future facing for HRA to provide us with early and accurate grant award amounts. And as my colleagues mentioned, they need more staffing to be able to handle the volume of the work that's before them. We need transparent, clear instructions on budget submissions to provide an estimated timeline to us so we know how to project out and manage our cash flow. And in the event all of these things fall through, issue additional advances that don't then tie up the invoice processes that we are in. I also want to put a pin in the returnable grant fund piece and would love follow-up conversations around that so much. I learned so much today and also have so much experience to share about, I'm not using bottlenecks, but things that are prohibitive of that actually addressing the needs that we have. So citywide, zooming out to all of the city agencies, we are asking to call back to the legislation and the ideas for interest expenses to be able to be billed on our contracts. We need clear, standardized invoicing guidelines across all agencies and not just changes, and agencies not to be able to change the requirements mid-year. And something that we've come across is that when all of these processes have gone right and we've submitted invoices and they're ready to be paid, the agencies have informed us they do not have the funding to actually pay on it. So we need the agencies themselves to have the adequate funding to pay out on our invoices. And so just quickly to conclude, I just want to share that, we as the nonprofit legal services provider sector really see ourselves as partners with the city And when we take on these contracts, it's in partnership to advance shared missions of serving New Yorkers most in need. And it really feels like an unhealthy partnership. And that's why we've come back here year over year to try and get to solutions. We are committed to moving towards health and sustainability of these partnerships. And so looking forward to ways that we can get to the solutions they're expressed as interests, but really want to get them moving forward. So thank you so much for
I really
your oversight.
appreciate you all testifying and testifying together, because I think that when we see issues that are existing across a particular contract and across a particular agency where there's a capacity shortage that we need to address, we can elevate those issues and go. I mean, we just had a DSS commissioner, of course, announced this morning, but to the HRA administrators, we can go to to senior leadership in the agency to try to get more attention, at least to help address the backlog that you all are facing, because $30 million each in outstanding in funds owed to each of your organizations, just as examples that you mentioned, it's debilitating, and it's not sustainable, and we have to do better. So thank you for sharing this information. So clearly we will certainly be in touch with the team at DSS. I wanted to wait until after the hearing before following up with folks, but you have our word that we will be doing just that. So thank you for joining us today. The next panel up is Brandon Lloyd from the Urban Resource Institute, Catherine Trapani from Volunteers of America, if she's still with us, Pilar Bernabe Garcia, I definitely didn't help on that name, I'm sorry, from Safe Horizon, Eric Rosenbaum from Project Renewal, Dan Lehman from Help USA, and Christopher Hanway from Jacob Reese Neighborhood Settlement House. Thank you. And feel free to begin at your convenience.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Ressler and members of the Contracts Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and thank you for your continued support of the Urban Resource Institute and the human services sector. My name is Brandon Lloyd, and I'm the Director of Government Affairs at the Urban Resource Institute. We're the largest provider of domestic violence shelter services in the country and a leading provider of transitional housing for families experiencing homelessness. Each night, URI provides safe temporary housing to nearly 4,000 individuals across 24 locations in 4 boroughs here in New York City. We currently are building our first supportive and deeply affordable permanent housing development in Harlem for survivors of domestic violence and community members. In addition to housing, URI provides trauma-informed and client-centered services that help families achieve economic stability and break cycles of violence. We're deeply grateful to the Council, especially this committee, for your advocacy on behalf of providers and the families we serve. Because of your leadership, advance payments were made that help stabilize organizations facing severe cash flow challenges due to delayed payments. However, URI is still owed approximately $50 million for services already delivered under contracts backdating to 2023. No sector can sustain this level of delay. The city must commit to clearing invoices within 90 days and address chronic delays in contract registration, which sometimes may exceed a year. Increased staffing at DSS and MOX is essential to solving this. We also appreciate the recent COLA for the human services workforce. However, nonprofit workers, primarily women of color, doing life-saving work still earn significantly less than their municipal counterparts. Pay equity is critical to retaining the workforce that keeps our shelters open. As homelessness and domestic violence rise, we must ensure shelter services remain strong. That means investing in our workforce and paying contracts on time. We look forward to continuing our partnership with the Council to keep families safe and to continue to break cycles of violence. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Eric, nice to see you. Just turn the mic on. All right.
I'm Eric Rosenbaum. I'm the president and CEO of Project Renewal. We're a nonprofit that's provided housing, shelter, healthcare, and employment services to hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers since our founding in 1967. I'm also with Chris here, the co-chair of the Procurement Reform Task Force at the Human Services Council. Thank you to Speaker Menon, to you, Chair Ressler, and your committee members for calling this hearing. Good news is that the city's current year payment performance has dramatically improved. Our FY26 budgets are largely correct, and that's a big deal because we can get advances on them, and it makes it possible to get the invoices paid promptly. So the current year process is really working for us fairly well. But the city still owes Project Renewal about $15 million going back to FY20. And this is very murky. We can't invoice this. So all of the data about timelines to process invoices doesn't even include this 15 million because it's stuck in various processes that aren't even visible in Passport. You've asked about the returnable grant fund. We have about $1.2 million in loans from that fund. But when we asked for the full amount that we were owed, the very same people at the Department of Homeless Services that would process our application for the fund are the people who also process our invoices and process the budget mods that would allow us to invoice for the money that we're owed. So we basically faced the Hobson's choice of what's more important, getting paid on the current invoices, which is where a lot of tens of millions of dollars are sitting, or applying for the returnable grant fund. And the internal process inside DHS to evaluate our application for the fund is exactly the same process they would go through to actually process the budget mods in the first place. So it didn't really make sense to continue to process the returnable grant fund for most of this. I think that might answer your question earlier about why we're not using the fund. I also want to say that we've worked internally to develop a tracking document that allows us to specifically know every dollar we're owed, what year it's owed from, what agency within the city owes it to us, and why they owe it to us. The city can't reproduce this document, so they can't verify what they owe us because it sits in so many different places. As an example, a new need that's been formally approved by OMB but not yet added to our contract is invisible. In order to dig it out, you have to find emails. You go through stacks of emails to find the document that proves that we're owed the money. None of that exists in one comprehensive system out of which you can report what the city owes us. And then finally, we absolutely support the wage equity bill. I'm just going to say what everybody else has said on that. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
Appreciate the testimony. Very helpful.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Pilar Bernabe Garcia, and I am Vice President of Finance at Safe Horizon, the largest victim service organization in the country. Every year, 250,000 people seek safety through our services. Our mission is to stand with those who have experienced violence, abuse, and exploitation. We offer unwavering support and advocate for systemic change. We envision a world where safety is a universal human right. We are grateful to the City Council for understanding the systemic late contracting issues that impact many nonprofits. Late contracts have a detrimental effect on community-based organizations and the communities we all serve. Great progress has been made because of the City Council's movement on these issues through legislation to provide advances on contracts. However, much more needs to be done to address the millions still owed to providers across the city. We echo what was said, just throughout the various panels, where there continue to exist many challenges around invoicing and payments. Delays in payment put providers at risk of eviction and worsen deficits by forcing organizations to borrow to pay rent and salaries. Safe Horizon has on many occasions been forced to borrow money to sustain service provision to survivors while waiting months or even years for a contract to be registered. The city's delay costs providers real money and jeopardize quality of services by diverting funds away from programs to pay interest on lines of credit for which we are not reimbursed. In addition, when nonprofits are owed money, we cannot respond to emergencies effectively because of limited cash flow to meet urgent needs. For example, during the pandemic, we needed to purchase supplies, masks, cleaning equipment, and we were forced to utilize our credit line. I would lastly say we completely support the Intro 452 is a significant step towards ensuring that human services workers receive equitable pay comparable to their city counterparts. And thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thanks so much, Pilar.
Good day. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Chris Hanway, and I'm proud to serve as Executive Director of Jacob A. Reese Neighborhood Settlement, a 136-year-old community-based organization providing holistic intergenerational services to the children, youth, adults, and families in Western Queens, particularly those in public housing. It's also my honor, as Eric said, to serve as the co-chair of the Human Service Council's Procurement Reform Work Group. I want to thank Chair Ressler, Councilmember Juan, our local council member, if she's out there somewhere, and all the committee members for the opportunity to speak to you today. At Reese, we serve as we strive to act as a catalyst for change in the community, as our mission statement declares. I'm here to tell you that although there has been significant improvement on clearing up overdue payments, we find it increasingly difficult to achieve this mission for the over 6,000 individuals we serve each year. That is because cash flow challenges caused by late payments continue to negatively affect our ability to provide after-school services, English language classes, meals for older adults, and civic engagement activities for the community. The City of New York currently owes resettlement over $1.8 million on an overall budget of $8.2 million. I wrote a truly staggering proportion, but I've heard today even higher proportions than that. We are extremely grateful for previous legislation that created additional advances for some contracts, but the advances only delay the inevitable and kick the proverbial can down the road. We must be paid for services rendered and vouchers submitted for the current fiscal year and previous years in a predictable and timely manner, and look forward to working with you, Mr. Chair, with the committee, newly appointed Mox Commissioner Yu, our friends at Mons, and our colleagues in the nonprofit community to find meaningful and permanent solutions for this issue. This, combined with the passage of Intro 452, introducing a comprehensive wage requirement and wage parity for human service workers, will ensure the long-term health of our sector in the service of New Yorkers who count on our support the most. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Lehman. I'm President and CEO of Help USA. We go back a ways. Your Hollis Gardens master lease back in 2016. Sadly, I'm here to tell you that that contract expired. We won the renewal. We've been waiting 3 months to have the budget approved, so we are now carrying that contract at $250,000 a month in operations while we're waiting for that approval. So that would be the first point I'll advise you of today. I'm going to focus on wage equity. I agree wholeheartedly with everything my colleagues have said on all the other points. We've experienced all the same issues. I will reiterate any of those at any time, but I'm going to save my air. Help USA provides homelessness prevention, transitional shelter, and supportive housing. We have over 1,200 staff on city contracts, most of whom live in New York City. Our workforce is 54% female, 95% Black, non-white Hispanic, or Asian, Pacific Islander, Native American. 2/3 of our staff on city contracts earn less than $50,000 per year, and 1/3 earn less than $40,000 per year. Each year, these staff help thousands of households avoid homelessness. Each night, they help ensure safe shelter for over 1 in every 100 New Yorkers. They help find people new homes and then make sure they don't become homeless again. Intro 441 is important. In a crisis, city government seems to forget that trusted nonprofits exist, yet they are often the best partners the city can turn to. That said, I will focus on Intro 452 and the wage inequity for nonprofit human services workers, mainly women and people of color. These staff are paid almost 30% less than city workers doing the same or similar jobs. Without nonprofit providers and these staff, the city would do these functions with its own staff at higher costs, as it has many times in the past. And here's a great data point. When SNAP benefits, aka food stamps, were frozen last year, we offered all staff who are on SNAP an emergency one-time payment. And we learned that over 1 in 10 of our staff depended on SNAP to feed themselves and their families. You cannot preach equity and affordability while paying poverty wages. You are not a government for all New Yorkers if you leave the workers the city depends on behind. Higher wages for low-paid workers means more economic activity and tax revenue. They shop and pay taxes locally. Turnover drops, productivity goes up, rents get paid. Intro 452 is a moral imperative and good business and economic sense. Intro 452 is critical for our sector, and it needs to be passed with all due haste.
Those stats are really really something. Thank you for sharing them. I'm very sorry to hear about Hollis. We'll do our best to try to be helpful there. But thank you all for the testimony and look forward to working especially with Chris and Eric on HSC's procurement reforms and suggestions there. So thank you for being here today. Next up, Marcus Jackson from Encore Community Services, Paula Magnus from the Northside Center, who this might be her second time at the Contracts Committee already, a frequent flyer. Paula Martinez, I'm sorry, Paula, if I'm not getting your name right, from Catholic Charities. Edward Ubiera from the Nonprofit Finance Fund, and Margie Brown from UHA. Gracias. Do we still have 3 folks online? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Feel free to begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Ressler. Thank you for holding today's hearing. I'm Margie Brown, Executive Director of UHAB. For 50 years, that's okay.
That makes more sense.
For 50 years, UHAB has helped low and moderate income New Yorkers become homeowners in the buildings where they already live. UHAB partners with New York City on multiple contracts, the largest of which is HPD's Housing Maintenance and Management Technical Assistance and Training Contract, or for short, TTA, to provide free support to HDFC co-op homeowners navigating complex regulatory, governance, and financial responsibilities. For these resident-run buildings, this assistance is essential. However, delayed contract registrations, late payments, and poor coordination across city agencies are financially destabilizing nonprofit providers like UHAB, putting our workforce and communities at risk. Under our current TTA contract, UHAB waited 18 months between contract start and registration. During that delay, we delivered more than $2.6 million in services, which is about 1/4 of our annual operating budget. The fund for the City of New York's Returnable Grant Fund is intended to bridge these gaps, but it is not able to alleviate the enormous scale of the problem. The RGF loans that HPD approved for UHAB covered only a fraction of our expenses, and in practice, they simply kicked the can down the road on the problem. 100% of the city's overdue payments must go to repay FCNY loans before a nonprofit receives a penny. Numerous mistakes and instances of poor coordination within and between agencies have exacerbated issues on this contract. Most concerning, a city administrative error has removed more than $1 million from the annual contract budget. Although HPD has worked to fix the problem, OMB has blocked them from resolving the issue, potentially cutting the contract by almost half. Beginning this July, this could mean loss of services to roughly 400 HDFC cooperatives, affecting about 8,000 low and moderate income homeowners. Nonprofits cannot continue to serve New Yorkers if we are forced to finance city contracts ourselves. I'll stop there. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Considering there are multiple former UHAB folks and key leadership posts at HPD, I hope that that decision to cut half the contract does not actually come to pass, but we have seen in the data clearly that HPD is one of the agencies that has a lot of work to do. So thank you for coming and sharing that, and your stories are really powerful. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman Ressler, and the rest of the committee members for convening this important conversation. I also appreciated the testimony of Director Cedillo and Director Yu. We value their knowledge and their expertise. I can't overemphasize how important nonprofits are to the social fabric of New York City. My name is Edward Ubiera, and I'm the Senior Director of Community Engagement for the Nonprofit Finance Fund. We are a mission-driven nonprofit financial institution, and for over 40 years, we have provided financial management consulting, loan capital, and research in the service of nonprofits. We like to think that we know a thing or two about nonprofit financial sustainability. 20 years ago, we pioneered a concept called full cost funding that anchors all of the work that we do. Full cost funding means that a nonprofit, just like a for-profit, just like a municipal government, has to factor all dimensions of cost. Those that show up in the short term on the budget and the balance sheet, like rent, salaries, and insurance, and those that are long term, like renovating or buying a new building or creating a new program. In some respects, full cost funding is not dissimilar to the multi-year financial planning that OMB does for New York City. Full cost funding should be the North Star guiding government procurement, and contracting policy going forward. Unfortunately, the structural reality of late payments by local and state governments puts nonprofits in a constant liquidity crisis that prohibits them from doing long-term financial planning and positioning for growth to be able to serve communities better. Late government payments also puts downward pressure on the ability to hire new staff and pay fair wages to current staff. So we support Intro 441. We support Intro 552 as we feel they both move the city closer to a full funding framework for nonprofits. And echoing some of the comments that we've heard in testimony today, we really need to start thinking about systems change because the current framework of contracting and procurement is just not calibrated towards serving thousands of vendors and moving billions of dollars efficiently. Thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, Chair.
Oh, you just need to press the button there.
Good evening, Chair. My name is Paola Martinez, and I am Director of Government Relations for Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of New York, and former City Council employee. Thank you for your long-term support for the human services sector. I just want to echo everything that has been said here, and also state that Catholic Charities is very much in support and continues to advocate for the sector. Catholic Charities upholds the dignity of each person as made in the image of God by serving the basic needs of the poor, troubled, frail, and oppressed in all religions. We collaborate with parishes, community-based organizations, Catholic and non-Catholic partners to build a more compassionate and just society. Throughout our network of 82 administered, sponsored, and affiliated agencies, we deliver and coordinate services, and our programs touch pretty much every basic human need. We have over 360 contracts valued at over 300 million with several agencies. We served over 10 million meals in our ongoing food programs and have prevented evictions of over 4,800 families, providing shelter to over 1,600 New Yorkers. Over 70,000 children and youth were provided care, counseling, and services through our in-school dropout prevention programs. But sometimes we have to remember the city is not only served by the public and private sector, it is a partnership, and our nonprofit sector is often the first one to respond during natural disasters, economic downturns, and political crises. Right now, the nonprofit human service providers are in a very difficult position as federal programs that support vulnerable people have been cut or eliminated. So now more than ever, we need your support. And of course, the Intro 452 is an important step forward, and we support its passage, but more needs to be done. And I'll leave it here. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula.
Chair Ressler and committee.
See you again.
Nice to see you again as well. Paula Magnus here from Northside Center for Child
Paula
Development.
said nice things about Michael the last time she was
Oh, and I
here.
was getting ready
Just-
to say some more too, but you
All right, watch out. I got ahead of you. I think he stayed just for that.
I think
He
so
was
too.
waiting
I
for
think so.
compliment, you know?
Again, we do appreciate your time and effort on this very important matter, and we appreciate your fight for us in the not-for-profit world. Again, founded in Harlem over 80 years ago, and we serve children at risk and their families in Harlem, the Bronx, and Brooklyn, and over 5,500 each year. So we're grateful for this opportunity and your continued fight. We do want to compliment the fact that we do get the 50% advancement. I think that's important to recognize. We also appreciate Michael and his team because they have we heard all the positives in terms of the direction they're going and looking forward to the Connect initiative and seeing how that'll work. So we really appreciate the outpouring of support in doing that work. But what I want to say is that before I turn to the main subject, I want to flag some brief adjustments maybe the city contract can make in terms of how it goes forward. We know the not-for-profit salaries, you've heard all that data on that, not paid equally, but we came here today to give specific examples of what can be used in the contract to make it simpler. And so we've left some examples there. For example, we're asked to annually submit information about our insurance. We're often asked to submit other documents if we have several vendors or several agencies that we work with throughout. How do we bring that together to simplify that? So there's an exhibit A, B, and C that talks to that as, in terms of how that can be handled. For example, wherever there is a time for us to get rid of, what is it, for example, the compliance certification, tax compliance, insurance, or the one that's the labor peace agreement, all of those could be put in one document for an agency to be used throughout all the other departments they receive funding for. So we thought we would today bring some samples of how those forms could be used, whereas Michael and his folks could look at that and see if that's a good starting point to eliminate unnecessary time that we're redoing it for all the various departments, eliminate their staff from looking at it, and will allow all of us to serve our children and families more rather than work with paperwork. So again, thank you so much, and thank you, Michael and his team.
Wonderful. Thank you to this panel for your really thoughtful and helpful testimony, and look forward to the recommendations you have to share with us and with Director Cedillo and the team. With that, we're going to shift to folks testifying virtually. Jackie Del Valle, Clark Wolf Hamill, and Z. Lay. We'll begin with Jackie. Your 2 minutes are starting now.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jackie Del Valle, Senior Grants Manager at Take Root Justice, and I'm also the coordinator of Stabilizing NYC. I'm here to testify to the Contracts Committee hearing again on the sorry state of discretionary awards with HPD. Take Root Justice's HPD awards, which include the SNYC, continue to be horribly delayed. Our multi-year contract, FY 24 to 26, which started on July 1st of 2023, was registered and ready for us to begin invoicing in June of 2025. That's a 2-year delay to get registered and begin invoicing. It took 3 months for most invoices to process. To date, we're still waiting on $69,000 for FY24. Our first set of FY24 invoices went to pay our returnable grant fund for FY24 and also FY25. This meant that $2,500,000 of the $4,200,000, over half of what we were owed for over 2 years, did not go to us. And it was a hot mess. HPD did not get real-time updates on the remaining amount, so initially had overpaid them. And it took weeks of meetings after weeks and weeks of meetings with HPD to clean it up. We've gotten no money for FY25 or FY26. Those budgets are not even active or budget ready, as you've been saying, for us to invoice on. We've been told by HPD there's currently no money available in the budget and we have to wait. This was sort of the last step that Mox described, having this budget ready and procuring the money in the financial management system. And this last point is something I've never experienced in my many years of doing this work. Usually registration is the main pain point and it takes months and months. But once a contract is registered, invoices get paid fairly quickly. I speak with HPD every week to push things along. They have these weekly office hours and I go every week. The issue seems to be—
Thank you for your testimony. Time has expired.
I just want to say a few more things.
If you could just wrap up your sentence, if you could.
Yeah, sure. Just this is really unacceptable. Collectively, the stabilizing groups are owed $19,255,000. That is almost $1 million per organization, going all the way back to fiscal year 22.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Devaya. Appreciate your testimony. That was very helpful. Next up is Clark Wolf Hamill.
Hello, thank you so much. Good afternoon. I want to just extend gratitude for giving nonprofit organizations the opportunity to testify today. My name is Clark Wolf Hamill. I'm the executive director of PFLAG New York City. We are a 53-year-old organization that serves the families of LGBTQ+ people citywide. As you know, the LGBTQ+ community is under dire attack right now. We have been contracting with DYCD and DOE for decades through discretionary funding. I want to acknowledge the difference that was not spoken to by Mons and Mox earlier between standard bureaucratic discretionary process delays as they are reimbursable funds versus years-long delays due to agency negligence and lack of agency oversight. We do utilize returnable grant funds and have for many, many years now. It is a Band-Aid, not a solution. To your earlier question, Chairperson, about why nonprofits go to private banks rather than the returnable grant fund, it is because we are ghosted by our agencies and unable to submit the applications. This was spoken to in an earlier testimony. The same people that register our contracts are the same people that process those applications. Currently, we are owed nearly $2 million in contracts going all the way back to fiscal year 2024, as well as having to give up multiple contracts from fiscal years 2021, 22, and 23. I want to highlight one of the most egregious and painful pieces to share most recently is that the agency we are working with right now, DOE, has been providing misinformation on our contract status to City Council Finance. I think that is something that has not been spoken to yet. Our contact at Council Finance reaches out regularly to DOE to ask their status. She's an incredible ally to us and confirmed that it is true that although we receive verbal and written confirmation of receipt of our documentation from the agency continues to share that we have not submitted documentation with City Council Finance. And finally, I want to acknowledge how helpful council members have been for us in these processes. Specifically, Councilmember Brewer has been an incredible ally to us in this work for many, many years and has been a tremendous force in helping put pressure on DOE and DYCD to get things moving in our contracts. And while this typically works, and as soon as a council member does press an agency to move a contract along, which also, presses the question. This not only highlights that question of why, but it has resulted in retaliation from the agencies. If I may just finish that sentence, retaliation from the agencies with both further ghosting and delays, as well as explicit verbal and written reprimanding for involving council members. None of this is unique to us. I want to thank you so much for your time and your
testimony.
ears.
Yeah. We really appreciate
Thank
your
you.
testimony today, and that retaliation should never, ever happen. Please let me know if there are ever any allegations of retaliation, and we will be sure to follow up directly with DOI. I unfortunately am due with a meeting. I'm supposed to be in a meeting with the mayor that started 12 minutes ago. I am adjourning this hearing and hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon.